Were the League Cup specialists with 2 Wembley triumphs under Ron Saunders. They certainly need a vintage performance today. It's the most important match ever for Tranmere Rovers. If they can hang on to their 2-goal lead, the Wembley jackpot will be £1 million plus. Semi-final showdown at Villa Park. They start Aston Villa 1, Tranmere Rovers 3. The first place in the Coca-Cola Cup final about to be decided.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult. All we'll be saying to the boys, keep your nerve, keep your patience, keep your belief, and you're good enough if you produce a performance to pull it back. It's a mountain, but we've got to go and climb it.
Well, it's probably the biggest game in our history, you know, Tranmere, and it's another trip, as far as we're concerned, to Wembley. There's an awful lot of mileage left in this game, of course, but we did manage to get a cushion in the first game. But all games are different, and we know that this is going to be very, very hard games today. But the big thing is that, as we always do, we go out and play football.
Good afternoon. The weather interfered with the second leg of the other semi-final in midweek. No problems today, I'm pleased to say, and the bonus is that both Trevor Francis and Alex Ferguson are still involved in the competition, with Manchester United to defend their 1-goal lead at Sheffield Wednesday in 4 days' time. Welcome, gentlemen. If I could start with you, Alex, you've got to play more games than most, perhaps anybody, if you're to win the treble. How frustrating are postponements like last week's?
Well, I think in fairness it was going to be difficult with the snow that came down. It was just one of these days, you can't do anything about it. But we'd met in the morning, we're ready to set off when we got the announcement the game was off, so it is a bit frustrating, and players are keyed up for it, you know.
Trevor, you'd be delighted to see Alex do the double. I don't know about the treble. Let's have a look at the goal that has left this town on a knife edge, really. It was a special goal, not one perhaps that you'll enjoy seeing, but all the same, Ryan Giggs at his best.
Yeah, it was a mistake from Roland Nielsen. Plays it a bit short. Giggs is onto it from an acute angle. Puts it in relatively easy.
Well, that's the one, that's how it's left. You've said before, earlier in the season, that you need too much luck to do the treble. Do you stand by that statement?
Well, I think that the way the FA Cup is panned out, that all the big ones are getting knocked out left, right and centre, that has given everyone the thought that we could do the treble. And my experience tells me that somewhere along the line, you're waiting for it just to end, you know. And I think we're sensible about it. We say that the league's a priority. Anything else is a bonus. Well, hopefully we've got a bonus, you know, in the shape of one of the cups.
We'll see how many bonuses you get, Alex. Thanks very much. Time now to take a look at the team that started out as 9-1 outsiders among the 4 semi-finalists. If Tranmere win the tie, it'll be their first major final, although they do have quite a bit of Wembley experience in recent years. They're still very much involved in the promotion race, following their 1-1 draw at Leicester in midweek. With Everton and Liverpool enduring a gloomy season, the Tranmere story has brightened up the football mood on Merseyside.
Over the years, there's almost been a magnetic attraction between Merseyside and Wembley Stadium. In the 80s, hardly a cup final went by when Liverpool Red or Everton Blue didn't end up in the Royal Box. But that was then. This is now.
And very nearly a great ball, and it drops to Nolan. Yes! Comes back to Hughes. It's 2-0. Aldridge is onside here. He's done it.
The Coca-Cola Cup has made sure that all those who'd heard of Tranmere but weren't quite sure where it was now know there are 3 teams on Merseyside, and that at the moment this is the one to support.
You go out to the shops, or you may go and have a drink in your local, and you know, there's pats on the back for all the lads in general. You know, it's brilliant.
I think that the good thing about Tranmere is we haven't really any enemies, I don't think. I think the Liverpool and the Everton fans have really got behind us and been dead positive towards us, so it's been great.
It hasn't always been. While Nevin and Aldridge were enjoying the good times on the other side of the Mersey, Tranmere were on the brink of bankruptcy. Then Peter Johnson took over as chairman and John King returned as manager. He introduced a new youth policy. Today, all but a handful of his squad are Merseysiders. He's innovative, and when it comes to talking football, he really is in a league of his own.
I think we're heading for the moon at the moment. You know, that's his best one. You know, we're going for the moon.
As opposed to being over the moon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you know, so the moon I think is the Premier Division. So hopefully we can get there one day.
I do feel as though, you know, we've not built the house of straw. You know, it's built of sandstone. You know, it's strong, and as a good friend of mine said years ago, it would be nice to build a fortress, impregnable. Nobody can touch you.
The big worry is that the Tranmere chairman might soon become the Everton chairman. Even with Wembley and the Premiership on the horizon, crowds have been disappointing, and Mr. Johnson is an ambitious man. If he does go, he's promised to leave Tranmere in good hands, and anyway, you get the feeling no challenge is too big for the manager. On Wednesday, Tranmere were desperate for their game at snowbound Leicester to go ahead. If it didn't, goalkeeper Eric Nixon would be suspended for today's second leg.
Don't worry about us. It's about one coach.
And thanks to a bit of gentle persuasion and the Leicester ground staff, after 3 inspections, referee Jim Rushton told King what he wanted to hear. And the match just boosted morale. John McGreal scored his first league goal to give Tranmere the lead. He then scored at the wrong end as well, so Leicester got a point. But Ron Atkinson was at Filbert Street, and he saw more of the fluent, counter-attacking football that did so much to undermine his side in the first leg. Tranmere Rovers are ready for the biggest cup tie in their history.
We are a good side, and we can play with the best, and it's just on the day. And hopefully, you know, we'll be good enough on the day.
You are good enough. You believe you're good enough.
I do. Aye. If I don't, we're in trouble.
So I think it's fair to say that most neutrals here, or not, there are many neutrals here, but most neutrals watching this game would be after Tranmere to win. Would you go along with them?
Well, that's always the case, isn't it? We're a great country for taking the underdogs. I think semi-finals are always tense affairs, and generally the more experienced players handle the occasion better. You just highlighted 2 players there, Pat Nevin and John Aldridge, who I feel are very, very important today for Tranmere.
But you must fancy Tranmere at Wembley if you get through.
Well, I think that they have a good chance. It's a 2-goal cushion, but it may become mental for them with thinking about that goal they lost in the last minute. And Aston Villa have got really good experienced players who have been over the trip a lot. It's on a nice edge of the game, you know, there's not much in it. It'll be a really engrossing match, but I'm sure of that.
We hope so. All right, we'll take a short break now before we hear from the man under pressure today, Villa manager Ron Atkinson, plus all the goals from yesterday's Ensley League games. That's next. Welcome back. Kick-off at 3 o'clock here at Villa Park, but it's goals time now as we review yesterday's Ensley League Division 1 action with Tony Francis.
Half the division's queuing up for the exit, but frankly no one has much to declare, not even Palace, who had their lead trimmed despite going ahead early on. Southgate in hand when Davidson fumbled. 2 Bolton players who were 1 booking short of a ban stayed at home, Rioch saving them for the FA Cup. Shame he seems to have abandoned thoughts of a promotion and cup double. Even under strength they were a match for the leaders, Owen Coyle's 16th of the season giving them a point. Mind you, it was touch and go in the end. Chris Armstrong denied an injury time winner for Palace. When push comes to shove, it doesn't count. Even with Wednesday's Cup replay on their minds, Charlton eased within 4 points of their South London neighbours. Alan Pardew's day, just as well, because the strikers had gone into their shells again. That was his first. His second was only 6 minutes behind it. Minto illegally grounded, and Pardew giving Charlton the rare luxury of a 2-goal cushion. Watford look as though they need what England couldn't handle, the protective arm and explosive larynx of Graham Taylor. Porter briefly reviving memories of better times, but Pardew could have given the scoreline a very unathletic glow and himself a hat-trick. Alas, it was too much to ask. It's almost 5 months since Birmingham won a point on enemy territory. So imagine the relief and disbelief when Claridge actually scored. Derby were heading for another nervous breakdown until Dave Barnett decided he's much happier as a spectator. The defender was dismissed for the second time in 4 starts since Barry Fry signed him from Barnet itself. A shocking game was temporarily lifted out of its misery by Johnson's equaliser. But as Roy McFarlane says, there are too many Midlands derbies for comfort. He ought to be used to it. Every game at the baseball grounds, a derby. Stoke City move into 5th place, their loftiest position so far. Portsmouth, on the other hand, are falling apart. Martin Carruthers is helping to fill the void left by Mark Steen. He won the penalty, which handed Orligsson his 10th of the season. Funny, the Icelander used to freeze in front of goal under Brian Clough. Now, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but Portsmouth overlooked that fundamental piece of geometry and paid a hefty price. Carruthers did it on his own this time. True to form, Oxford raised themselves against classy opposition. Alex Dyer's goal 2 minutes from the end lifted them off the bottom and sent Forest back to the drawing board. The Black Country more or less shut up shop as 28,000 went to Molineux and saw a major upset. Sir Jack Hayward's Millionaires made as if to run away with it when Kevin Keane did what he does best. But the paupers from down the road perceived some complacency and cashed in. Unspectacular build-up, you might say, but Bob Taylor was left with half an acre to himself, and that can be fatal. Albion have played in front of the 2 biggest crowds in the First Division this season. This time it brought out the very best in Paul Marden, whose unstoppable header gave them their first double over Wolves in 12 years. If you want a lesson in how not to defend, watch this. Far from closing men down, Southend opted for complete indifference, presumably in the hope that City would be deceived by the lack of security. It didn't work, and Wayne Allison's 18th of the season put them in good heart for the Charlton replay. Only 1 league defeat in 14 for Luton, who have an FA Cup quarter-final date as well. Kerry Hughes, the Welsh international, celebrated his 23rd birthday with this. And Scott Oates, who's been a goal-scoring revelation in midfield, collected number 9 with that devastating right foot of his. After battling to keep their heads above quicksand for much of the season, David Pleat's team could yet be in the playoffs. It's that wide open. They don't want too many lapses like this, though. Unfortunately for Sunderland, it came too late to make much difference.
So Crystal Palace's lead is cut to 4 points by that draw with Bolton. It's still looking good for London clubs, with Charlton in second and Tranmere still in contention. Of course, they didn't play yesterday. Moving on to the bottom half of the table, and it's still pretty desperate for Peterborough. But Birmingham City, Villa's neighbours here, in trouble despite their first point in 5 months away from home. With the pressures mounting in the promotion race, it's certainly being felt here at Villa, where the Coca-Cola Cup is the last chance of a prize this season, following the FA Cup exit at Bolton. That followed the disappointment of an early UEFA Cup exit against Deportivo La Coruña, and another failure to stay the pace set by Manchester United in their Premiership. It's probably not the most satisfying spell in Ron Atkinson's long and illustrious career at the top. Big Ron knows just how important a Wembley final would be for Villa. Our reporter Phil Mepham caught up with him this morning, walking the dogs on Lickey Hills in Worcestershire.
Ron, this is not the normal way to start a match day, is it?
For me it is. I mean, most, for home games anyway, most Saturday mornings or whatever, I have a wander up here. I mean, certainly blows the cobwebs away, doesn't it? And gives me time to just do my last-minute thinking. And that's basically, I mean, you're on your own. You can just think about things you want to be talking about later in the day.
Obviously, you've got a bit of a mountain to climb this afternoon, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Like I said, we dug ourselves into a hole at Tranmere. We've now got to try and dig ourselves out of it.
How?
How? I mean, I've said all along, the team of ours, no matter... All right, we've had a couple of hiccups against Bolton and Tranmere in the last week. But by and large, when we play well, we can play anybody. We are possibly the only team on our best could give Manchester United a game. At our best. If we perform to our best, we've got a great chance. If we don't play well, then we don't deserve to win.
But is it a big if? Because consistency, I mean, are you worried that you might not produce your best on the day?
Well, when you say consistency, I mean, prior to the first Tranmere game, we were the best form team in the country. Our last 4 home games, and we're supposed to have a bad home record, but our last 4 home games have produced 3 wins and a draw, and we've conceded 1 goal in that spell. So we're not exactly going into the game with no form behind us.
Trevor, you shared a cup of tea with Ron a couple of minutes ago. What sort of mood was he in?
Well, if he's under pressure, he didn't certainly show it when we had a cup of tea with him. I think today he's going to be relying on his 2 front players most of all. I think that in Dalian Atkinson and Dean Saunders, 2 players who at Tranmere didn't really show, but I think they're capable of winning the tie for Aston Villa today.
Well, Dalian Atkinson, Alex, scored what must be a vital goal in the first leg, because if they hadn't got this, how much trouble do you think Villa would have been in?
Well, I don't think they would have done it. And it is a bit of luck attached to it. Tony Daly's header's gone back the way, and Atkinson's finished it very well. And it's just given the lifeline that they probably needed, you know.
In his programme notes, Ron's saying we can do it, and he's urging the crowd to help out. How much help can they give the team?
Well, I think the Villa Park crowd here, and it's a very, very big crowd here today, obviously they can play a big part in it. I think what he's looking for most of all is an early goal, and that settles the players down. Then they're just 1 goal away, because obviously if it's 2-0 and it goes to extra time, Aston Villa go through. But I think that they need to start well.
OK, we shall see how they get on. The crowd is huge, and we can join our man now in amongst them. Here's Gary Newbon.
Well, causing a lot of interest here, of course, big Frank Bruno, who fights in Birmingham next month. Now, we ought to reveal that Ron Atkinson, the Villa manager, has just said to you, can you go and shake up and hit his centre-forward, Dalian Atkinson?
I could hit him in the ring, but not on the pitch. The pitch is too big because he might kick me around the pitch. You know, I think I'll pass on that one. It's a bit too tough for me, Gary, you know.
OK, well, I know you like football, so you usually advise me on how the fights are going to go. Advise me how this intriguing match is going to go.
The best team will win today, you know what I mean? That's my advice I can give to you, because like there's a lot of people from Liverpool, there's a lot of people from Birmingham who are very good fans of mine, so I don't want to upset nobody. All I say, the best team would win. I can't be no neutral in that, Gary.
The atmosphere is great here, isn't it?
Unbelievable, powerful, you know. They've just been shouting your name. There's only one Gary, and all that business.
They're a bit kinder about you, actually. They love you here.
Cheers, I love you.
Anyway,
as well, mate.
let me just tell you a couple of facts here and tell the viewers at home. The crowd behind me here, the stronghold of the Aston Villa support, making up the biggest home crowd here this season, 42,000 sellout. But they also know that no team in the semi-final has ever recovered from a 2-goal deficit to come back and reach the final. So history has to be made by Aston Villa if they're going to do it today. And as Frank says, obviously the best team will win. A lot of people here hoping it's Aston Villa. Tranmere, though, are a really dangerous side. You'll see what happens. Can Villa make history, or will it be First Division Tranmere right after this break?
There's only one.
Aston Villa and Tranmere are just 1 game away from Wembley. A huge crowd at Villa Park is waiting. So too are your commentary team, the Newcastle manager Kevin Keegan. But first, here's Alan Parry.
Yes, a really tremendous atmosphere here at Villa Park today, and a fascinating game in prospect. Let's bring you up to date, first of all, with the team news. Aston Villa returned to their familiar lineup, having made 6 changes for the midweek game here against Manchester City. The only differences from the team beaten at Tranmere in the first leg are both in defence. Sean Teale has returned after suspension, enabling Earl Barrett to move across as replacement for the injured left-back Steve Staunton, though in fact Barrett has been given a man-to-man marking job on Tranmere's Pat Nevin. This is Villa's 9th appearance in the semi-finals, and that's a record for the competition.
Well, after much deliberation, the Tranmere manager, John King, has decided to stay with the sweeper system, which earned his team such a great result in the first leg. Mark Hughes fills that role. In front of him, the experienced Dave Higgins returns to the centre of defence following suspension. Otherwise, it's the same lineup as at Prenton Park. There are no fewer than 6 Merseysiders in this 11. Tranmere's youth development system, one of the best in the land. Let's take a look at the substitutes. And Graham Fenton, an exciting young striker, just back from a loan period with West Bromwich Albion. Among those on the Villa bench, winger John Morrissey could give Tranmere a different attacking option. The referee today is Mr. Alan Gunn from Sussex. Well, this tie is really on a fascinating knife edge, particularly after that goal by Daly and Atkinson in the last minute of the first leg, which certainly killed some of Tranmere's joy at their own third goal, which was scored by Atkinson's old teammate from their days at Real Sociedad in Spain, John Aldridge. And Aldo now has 38 goals in the League Cup. Only Ian Rush and Jeff Hurst have scored more in the entire history of the competition. The pitch here at Villa Park, after problems in the last year or so, is in perfect condition today, though there is a very strong wind. Alongside me, a man whose pitch wasn't in perfect condition yesterday, the Newcastle United manager, Kevin Keegan. He had a day off, their game postponed. Kevin, I know you're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, Alan, I think it's a fascinating tie. That last minute goal by Atkinson at Tranmere has certainly set it up. I think it had been 3-0, then the mountain may have just been too high for Villa to climb. But it'll be interesting to see how Tranmere go about protecting a 2-goal lead over 90 minutes. It's never an easy thing to set your stall for.
Nevin certainly was a key figure in that first game, and it will be interesting to see how he shakes off the man-to-man marking of one of Britain's quickest and most accomplished defenders in Earl Barrett. Aston Villa, first ever winners of this trophy some 33 years ago then, and finalists 5 times, really looking for something of a miracle here today to make another final. They've won the competition on 3 occasions. Tranmere before this season had never been beyond the 4th round. Early test there for Hughes. Townsend with the first shot, but well off target. Andy Townsend is making his 6th appearance in a major cup semi-final, and would you believe he's yet to finish on the winning side with 3 different clubs in 3 different competitions.
Terrific atmosphere here, Alan, and a lot of it being created by the supporters at Tranmere. Everyone thinks there's only 2 sides on Merseyside, but there's fast becoming 3.
And this opening 20 minutes or so is surely going to be crucial to the eventual outcome of this game. Cox beaten to it by Malkin, and Malkin tries the shot. That was a brave effort from that range. It was well over, but nonetheless, it just proves that Tranmere's forwards can be a handful. His goal and the replay in the previous round against Nottingham Forest. Good effort, Kevin.
Very good effort. I think Cox will be a little bit disappointed. Very difficult ball because it took a long time to come down. But this young lad Malkin is a handful because he's a good size. He'll be well over 6 foot, but he's got pace as well. And the combination of the two gives defenders problems.
O'Brien finding Kenny Irons. Nevin out on the right. Is challenged immediately by Daly. The referee lets the challenge go unpunished. But not that second one. Free kick to Aston Villa. The appropriately named Kenny Irons. He really is a strong lad, difficult to beat. You can see how much this blustery wind is affecting things out there on the pitch. Sean Teal, the Villa centre-back, has come forward for this free kick. Townsend will take it. Headed on by Houghton, and Higgins got there first for Tranmere. Aldridge looking for Nevin. It's played back in by Barrett. Hughes has a problem here with Saunders, but has shaken off the Welsh international. Welshman himself, Mark Hughes, and scored his first goal for over 2 years to give Tranmere a 2-0 lead in the first leg. Saunders cross just to Atkinson. The challenge by O'Brien, and then Townsend. Tranmere survive a hairy moment. Teal misdirects his header to Aldridge. McGrath covering well though. And ball there by Atkinson, spotted by the referee. The wind is clearly causing a problem here, Kevin.
Yes, it's a factor very much in the way this game's going to be played, and it's going to give defenders problems, it's going to give forwards problems, so it's going to make the contest even in that sense. But for me, the fascinating thing is going to be to see how Atkinson and Saunders perform for Villa, because there's no doubt about it, when these two play, Villa play, and when these two are subdued, it's difficult for Villa to get goals from midfield.
McGrath's clearance is helped forward by Townsend. Higgins, the covering player, taken over in the end by the number 11 McGreal. And a problem here for Cox, under pressure by Irons, did well. Jed Brannan with the throw in for Tranmere Rovers. And gets it back again. It's a useful looking cross as well to the far post. Barrett's clearance. And Nolan got there ahead of Daly. Ian Nolan, who scored only the second goal of his Tranmere career to give his team the early lead at Prenton Park. O'Brien for them. Picked up by Richardson. A bit tight in there for Villa. Looking to find some room to break clear of their own half. And that was almost the ball that enabled them to do so. Daly. Nolan, the covering defender, but he still gets his cross in well. And he was met on that near post by Dean Saunders.
A great quality cross in there from Daly. A lot of people who you talk to in the game seem to think that that's probably his downfall, the final ball in, but nothing wrong with this cross, and just the maybe lack of height there for Saunders costing him a real good chance.
Daly gets it back again and finds Saunders. O'Brien's header has been misdirected to Daly. Good covering by Hughes. Claims the throw-in, and indeed the referee supported his claim. Real stalwart at Tranmere, Mark Hughes.
I think we'll be seeing an awful lot of him this afternoon, because with the pace that Villa have got, they're going to get the better of the defenders now and again. And his job is to just read that situation and tidy it up.
Higgins for Tranmere Rovers tries to release Malkin. A little layoff was meant for Aldridge and found him. Malkin again. Aldridge continues his run, and it's a good ball to find Aldridge. Chance here, and it breaks to Nevin. A great save by Bosnich. How did he manage that? He was lying on his back on the ground, and in that instant, Tranmere could almost have made sure of a place at Wembley. Kevin.
A terrific ball through there. He stuck it. I think he just gets stuck between his feet, but this is a real chance. But doesn't Bosnich do well there? I mean, he just never gave it up. He was out of the game, and he got back in it. Terrific goalkeeping.
First corner of the game to Tranmere. It could so easily have been the first goal to them. Townsend just got the flick away there. Turned back in again by Kenny Irons. Hughes. It's a good effort. Very similar to the shot that produced his goal in the first leg.
Alan, this is what Tranmere have got to do. They've got to believe they can score here today, because if they sit back against Villa, they may come away with nothing. But that's a terrific effort. Just need to be a couple of yards lower.
Well, it shows you what a knife edge this game is on, really, for Aston Villa. A goal for Tranmere would make their job almost impossible. And they're breaking dangerously again. Teal's challenge, but he hasn't taken it off Nolan. Aldridge is marked in the box if he gets the cross into him, and he comes instead to Malkin. That was a glorious opportunity for Chris Malkin to score. Tranmere, twice in the opening 7 minutes, might well have gone in front.
Another terrific run here from the fullback this time, and a great ball, pulling it back, all the defenders going in, and I think he hits it into the floor. Even so, he's got to hit the target from there, and he'll be disappointed.
Well, one can only wonder that had that chance fallen to Aldridge rather than Malkin, what would have happened? Surely the outcome would have been different. Anyone who thought the Tranmere Rovers were going to sit back and defend their 2-goal lead knows differently now. It's not in their nature, it's not in their style of play. and that is going to ensure us a tremendous tie here. Houghton for Aston Villa. Lovely ball, Bailey. In it goes to Townsend. It's a poor lay off by him, though. Look at that, 4 goal attempts already in the space of 8 minutes for the visitors. And they have the benefit of the referee's doubt there. Townsend thought that should have been a corner. Goal kick.
Here's another man, Townsend there, is just in the picture before. He's a man that Villa are looking to produce things for them. I think by his own high standards since he came here, he hasn't really set the world on fire, but there's no doubt about it, he's a player of immense talent. He's just still finding his way at a new club, and it's taken him a little longer to settle than maybe most people thought. But in that situation there, they'll be looking for him to carve something out of nothing.
Greel finding Nevin. He's given it away to Teal. Higgins returns the long ball. Johnny King, I think, has never got the credit he's deserved for the job he's done at Tranmere Rovers. He's the most successful manager in their history. I'm surprised the Premiership clubs haven't had a look at his record and decided that he could do a job in that division. That should be routine for Bosnich. That's a tremendous kick, aided by the wind.
Just looking at Johnny King there before, and he's a tremendous Bill Shankly fan, and a lot of his principles are the same, and all his sides play football. Terrific, I think, terrific manager, and like you say, he's been very unlucky not to get to a bigger club because his record is second to none.
And any manager who swears by the disciple of Shanks can't be bad in my book. I know Mr. Keane would certainly agree with that.
He certainly would.
Gone. It's Aston Villa 0, Tranmere Rovers 0. Tranmere still leading 3-1 on aggregate and could well have increased their aggregate lead in that opening spell. Kenny Irons down the line for the throw-in. Well, that'll be a goal kick. Guided over the line by Richardson, captain.
Alan, this wind that's going round Villa Park, it's not blowing in any particular direction, it's swirling. And I think it will take the players 15 to 20 minutes to come to terms with it. But nevertheless, up to now, we've still seen some very good football played.
Teal finds Daly. Barrett. McGreal. And he dwelt a little too long on the ball then, John McGreal. He's only 21 and he's only played half a dozen games in the first team this season. Pat Nevin says he reminds him of a young version of Alan Hansen, quite a tribute.
Quite a lot to live up to there as well, I would have thought. There's a lot of young Alan Hansens coming around now, but you know, we'll have to wait and see if any of them can turn out to be as good as he was. But certainly he's replaced the lad they sold to Middlesbrough, and he's done a good job.
Yeah, because the one who moved on to the northeast. They spent very little money, of course, as well, Tranmere Rovers, on their side. When you think, I think Villa's team's worth around 12 million. Apart from Aldridge, who they virtually stole, O'Brien is another player they spent money on, and Nevin. It's a side that's been home produced, literally. Here's Daly for Villa. Irons gets it back again, or at least let it run on to O'Brien, who couldn't get there. Cox, Hughes his clearance. Back in by Daly and Atkinson. Ron Atkinson, 2.5 years now at Villa, and desperate, of course, for success in this competition, having been knocked out of the FA Cup a week ago at Bolton, and of course way behind the Championship contenders.
He's done a terrific job here. All his teams played it the way football should be played, whichever club he's ever been at. And I was talking to him before the game, and he pointed out something that I think is very interesting. He said, you were 0-0 against Coventry at half-time on Saturday, on Wednesday, and you still won 4-0. So don't think, or don't feel for 1 minute they have to score in the first 10 minutes, Villa. Any time up until 70 minutes, and they will have a chance of getting something out of this game.
Yes, I know he's preached that to the players. Don't panic, even if we reach half-time, he said, and it's still 0-0, don't worry about it. Daly's flick on, Higgins with the clearance. Aldridge will pressurise McGrath here. Irish international teammates, of course, who will be in America for the World Cup in the summer together. Hughes gets it away. O'Brien over his own head. Malkin heads it on. Routing for Teal to clean it up. Richardson. Townsend. And it actually deflected off Richardson's shin. Luckily for him, straight to McGrath. Tries the long ball now to vary things, but Higgins kept right in the line of flight. Good intelligent running for the throw-in. Saunders with a first-time cross. Nolan hooks it clear. Teal. McGrath has Cox free down the right-hand side. He's been given the opportunity to come forward and find Richardson. Barrett out in space on the left. Well, that looked rather more difficult than we first thought for Eric Nixon in the Tranmere goal. I think the wind swerved the ball in flight then.
He got a hoo from the crowd, this, but I can tell you the players will be disappointed in the middle with a cross like this. He had plenty of time, really, but it's on his weaker left foot because he's playing against Nevin and he's moved to left back. Obviously, when he gets down the line and he's got to swing it in his left foot, it's going to be hit and miss, and I'm afraid that one was missed.
Quarter of an hour gone, still 0-0 here at Villa Park. Tranmere Rovers still have that precious two-goal aggregate advantage. This is Neil Cox. Thumps that into the space where Daly runs. Good clearance by Nolan. Malkin. McGrath takes it off him. Well, the game is already settling into a very similar pattern to the first leg, where Aston Villa enjoyed probably 75 to 80% of possession that night, but Tranmere Rovers looked lethal on the break, and we've already seen indications of the same thing here today. Saunders, beautiful control. Well, it was ambitious effort from that range.
The fascinating part of the early part of this game for me is it's our really Aston Villa going to cope with this sweeper system. It puts the onus on defenders like McGrath there, you saw just moments ago, with having space to go and use that space. And in England, defenders sometimes feel that all they've got to do is give the ball simple. And I think the onus now is for people from the back, especially McGrath and Teal, who are getting the space, to get forward and use the ball. And it's fascinating because it's asking questions of them that are not asked every week.
McGreal under pressure from Atkinson. Higgins to his rescue. He's the epitome of a no-nonsense defender, is Dave Higgins. If in doubt, get it out. Good football though by Tranmere, but then Brannan and O'Brien get mixed up, and they get a corner out of that fella. An angry reaction, not just from Houghton, but from the two Tranmere players involved there.
There's Liam O'Brien. I sold him to Tranmere. He was a great player for me. Did a terrific job when we won the First Division Championship last season. And he's an Irish international. He can play at this level, absolutely no problem.
There's another one, McGrath, forward for the corner. Richardson having trouble getting the ball to stay still in the quadrant there because of the wind. And then knocks it back to Cox, which was not the best thing as it turned out, because Cox's cross was poor. Richardson again. Houghton. Irons gets it clear. Barrett swinging it in. Atkinson's in the box unmarked. Now Now O'Brien, lovely control by him, and a great ball forward for Aldridge. Well, he couldn't have done much else there, John Aldridge. Found himself with no support.
A great run again. Villa have got to watch this because Tranmere have got people behind the ball, but they're not slow in breaking forward, and already we've seen 4 or 5 times that they're more than capable of getting at least 1 goal here today.
Oh, a mistake there by McGrath, with Nevin hurrying and scurrying round his ankles like a snappy little terrier, and it's not often McGrath makes a mistake like that. He got away with it. Teal, forward for Saunders. Lovely, calm defending by McGreal. Nolan. It's good football by Tranmere Rovers. It's a hallmark of the way they play. They don't just hoof it forward. They're an excellent, attractive side. Higgins clearance. Barrett. Now Teal with a long ball for Daly to chase. Daly gets it back. And a good ball to Townsend. Excellent ball into Saunders. Villa get the goal they wanted. 19 minutes gone. Dean Saunders.
This is a terrific goal. What a tremendous ball in from Townsend, and the run that has become his trademark, Dean Saunders to the near post. And to be honest with you, you couldn't say anyone was at fault for this goal. It's just a very, very well constructed goal.
Well, he had 2 defenders to beat here. Lightning reactions by Saunders. Could have gone off the foot of either of those defenders as well. Saunders wheels away in celebration. Aston Villa have pulled it back to 3-2 now on aggregate, and what a vital goal that could be. 1-0 on the day, and now just a goal difference between them. And a suitable moment to tell you that if Aston Villa were to get a 2-0 lead here and keep it to the end of 90 minutes, then the game would go into half an hour's extra time, and if it should stay that way, then they would go through because they had an away goal. Here's Atkinson. They don't want to rely on away goals. Here's Saunders again. Houghton's shot. All of a sudden, having made a very composed start here, Tranmere are suddenly rocking, Kevin.
This is a critical period for Tranmere because they've conceded the goal that they didn't want to early in the game. Also, when you play with a sweeper system, the onus is that you're going to defend well and hopefully catch them on the break. And suddenly, when you need to go forward, which is your best form of defence in many cases away from home, you haven't got the players there to do it. So the next 10 minutes, Johnny King will be hoping that they keep a clean sheet. That was just a terrific goal.
Now, Tranmere Rovers have the supreme test of their character as well as their ability. It was the start they didn't want. Here's Brennan. And he's got round Cox. Just took it a stride too far in the end, but he's still there. O'Brien. Higgins tries to keep the pressure on, but he's given it away to Richardson. Good ball. Saunders finding room all over the place now. Daly is the only Villa player in the box. Now supporters arrive, but Saunders held on to it too long, I think. Suddenly, Houghton has it back for Villa. Atkinson! First time volley, rather like the one which produced his goal at Prenton Park, but this one off target.
Well, Tranmere are starting to really cause all their own problems here. This is a great ball back, and I think he'll be slightly disappointed not to have hit the target. It was by no means an easy chance, but it started with a mistake. And you can see they're starting to get in each other's way, and maybe the sweeper system that they thought was so good is starting to be their own downfall here. You'll have to wait and see. But Atkinson certainly would have liked to hit the target there.
Well, they're have been so many shocks in cup competitions this season, particularly the FA Cup, with First Division teams knocking out Premiership opposition. Are we to see another one today? These teams both 7th in their respective divisions. Or will Premiership quality rise to the surface? Foul there by McGreal has given Villa a free kick. Richardson will try and cause the problem again for Nixon with a good ball in.
Another terrific goal, Alan. What quality crosses, that's what led to the 2 goals. Very, very difficult to defend this ball, but nevertheless a very, very brave finish from Teal, who just threw himself in there. Watch the quality of this ball. Keeper can't come, defenders can't defend it, and a terrific, brave diving header. Suddenly the Twin Towers don't seem so far away for the Villa fans and the Villa players.
Sean Teal with that brave diving header. Himself born in Southport, not so far away from Tranmere country, and a man who had a long, long career in the non-league circles before Ron Atkinson bought him. He describes him as John Wayne, the man who comes over the hill to save the cavalry, and he might just have saved Aston Villa's prospects of a Wembley appearance with that goal. Only his 2nd of the season. He missed the first leg in the middle of a 3-match suspension, and he has certainly justified his recall, and Villa are flying now. 3-3 on aggregate, and remember, if there was no further scoring in this match, we'd have half an hour's extra time, and if there was still no further scoring, Villa would go through. Daly with the chip over. At the moment, I think if Tranmere were offered extra time, they'd be quite happy. They're absolutely on the back foot.
Well, Johnny King will be looking at his watch now and wishing it was half-time so he could get them together and start to get them organised again, because suddenly, after looking so complacent and so in control, the back 4 in particular, or the back 5 as it now has been for the start, are struggling to really keep tabs with Atkinson and Saunders and Daly, who have all got terrific pace, by the way.
A poor goal kick there by Eric Nixon has kept Villa in possession. Houghton. Oh, it's clever play by Houghton. Suspicion of handball there, the referee has said play on. Well, now Villa will just want to keep these attacks pouring forward, but remember, it's still very delicately poised this tie. They've got to be careful not to get too carried away by the atmosphere. Here's the goal, and following it, the way the manager, Ron Atkinson, greeted it. I think he's quite pleased.
You can see that misty Twin Towers of Wembley just getting a little bit clearer now, because they're now really the boots on the other foot, and they must keep this momentum going, Villa. And of course, if you're a Tranmere fan or a player, you've got to stop it. You've got to do something to stop them, because they're coming on in droves now.
Good defending there by young McGreal again, but the bounce, unlucky for Tranmere. It's gone straight to Daly. Whoops, he got a little bit of luck back in return there. Daly did a bit of a Torville and Dean, but no one near him. Well, that's a great ball forward to Aldridge. Chance here. It's got to be a penalty, and it is. Aldridge brought down by Bosnich. Alan Gunn had no hesitation and has pointed to the spot. Tranmere Rovers have a penalty, and the drama continues, because Mr. Gunn might decide here that Bosnich has to go for that. Now, this is where inconsistent refereeing always gives you a doubt in these situations. I've seen goalkeepers sent off for committing fouls like that. I've seen goalkeepers commit them and still stay on. It's all down to the referee's interpretation. Kevin, what's he going to do here, do you think?
Well, with it, strict interpretation of the rules, he must send him off. I hope he doesn't, because I personally think it's a terrible rule, not allowing a goalkeeper. He's gone for the ball there. Aldridge has tricked him. He's an old fox, Aldridge. He knew what he was doing. He was playing for the penalty. Make no mistake about that. It is a penalty. And I think, honestly and truthfully, that is sufficient punishment. And I hope the referee does the same. This is a Coca-Cola Cup semi-final. They're playing for big stakes, and the lad, in my opinion, went for the ball. But remains to be seen what he does, because, of course, if your goalkeeper gets sent off for this last week, you say, well, where's the justice? And that's what's happening in the game.
No doubt it was a penalty, though, no doubt at all.
No, and no doubt Aldridge had one thing in his mind when he took that touch, which took him a little to the left, probably not exactly where he wanted it to go. He was playing for the penalty, and he was quite right to do that. It is a penalty, and I think the referee, I think common sense will prevail. I think the referee will allow the keeper to stay on. I hope he does. We've got a tremendous match on our hands now.
Well, so far, Mr. Gunn has just concentrated on getting all the other players outside the penalty area. And I think Bosnich is going to be called over to the referee now. And this looks ominous.
He's got to book him, and he's got to go through the motions for everybody that he's going to do it. But I don't think he's going to send him off. I hope he doesn't. I really do.
Jim Walker, the Villa physio, lending an ear to the conversation.
Of course, the Tranmere fans up and down the country, and there's plenty of them here too today, they'll be saying, hold on, he's got to go. If that had been our goalkeeper, he'd have sent him off.
And it appears Mr. Gunn has decided to take no further action against the goalkeeper. He's got away with that. What he hasn't got away with, of course, yet is the penalty. Boos from the Tranmere fans, who will feel that Bosnich should have been sent off then. But they will forget that if John Aldridge converts this penalty. And he has!
Well, justice is done there, Alan, because it would have been frightening if Bosnich had saved it, because then people would have added to the argument that he should have gone off.
Absolutely right. John Aldridge gets goal number 16 of the season and his 39th in the League Cup. And you would have bet your life on John Aldridge scoring here. That's now 82 goals in 123 games for Tranmere Rovers. What an unbelievable record. And as I say before, when they got him back from Spain, it was the bargain of all time for my money, £250,000. And he's suddenly made at least one of those famous Twin Towers come back into view again. So it's Villa 2, Tranmere 1 on the day, and Tranmere go back in front now on aggregate, and more importantly, or just as importantly, they've now cancelled out Aston Villa's away goal, of course.
You get the feeling here, Alan, there's more to come as well. Both teams approaching the game in the right way, and we're seeing a terrific advert for British football. And bearing in mind one of these sides is not even in our Premier League, that can only be good.
It's hard to believe, Kevin, we've only had half an hour. It all seems to have happened. It's a really tremendous and dramatic tie, and Sean Teal's goal, which gave Villa such high hopes just minutes ago, now looks like weeks ago. Ron Atkinson has moved from his seat in the stand, and that's usually a sign that he's getting a little more anxious, a little more angry with the way things are going. At least he had the referee on his side, so to speak, in not dismissing Mark Bosnich here. But a lot of keepers up and down the country who've been sent off for similar things will think there ain't no justice in this game when it comes to refereeing decisions.
I really think, though, Alan, just to add to that point, a goalkeeper's got to have the right to dive at someone's feet if he's genuinely going for the ball, and you know, I mean, otherwise what's the point of working all week on things like defending your goal and diving at people's feet, which they have to do. I mean, it certainly was a penalty, but the lads, he took his punishment. His side have gone now only 2-1 in the lead, and I think that's fair enough, and I think the referee, did a great job. I think common sense prevailed.
Absolutely, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to see him sent off. I agree with you. I think the law is ridiculous. The penalty is sufficient punishment, and the sooner that law is removed from the books, the better for all concerned. But I repeat, some referees might have shown him the red card. Anyway, that's over. Let's get on with the game. 32 minutes gone. Cox going forward. Saunders. Houghton. Townsend thought about going for it. O'Brien got there first, and he's there again. Houghton. Taken off him by Brannan. Townsend slides in to win it back. Cox stabbing it forward, offside. The linesman's signalled offside.
We've hardly had an offside in this game. I bet we haven't had 4 up to now. It's been a terrific game. Played in the right spirit. You saw a real good hard challenge going there. Nobody complained about it. I think Townsend was the one who suffered the most. He just got up and got on with his job, and that's what you like to see professionals do. Ron's looking a bit agitated, but I can tell you now, he'd have settled for 2-1 after 33 minutes of this game before the match started. So it's just a reaction to going back to 2-1, I suppose, not 2-0 up.
There's the goal scorer for Tranmere. Aldridge couldn't find Malkin. Richardson, good ball. Well read by McGreal, and now Brannan. McGrath hooks it on. Hughes underneath it. Teal. Saunders couldn't quite reach it in time. You talk about a goal, I'm talking about the Tranmere goal here, Kevin, coming at a perfect moment. They were absolutely reeling after those 2 quick Villa goals. They couldn't have chosen a better moment to score themselves and restore their confidence, really, could they?
That's right, and it's an amazing game, football, because when they had the good spell, they had 4 good chances or 4 good shots at goal and didn't get anything. And then when they were under the cosh, they came away and got a terrific break and caught Aston Villa cold, really. But from a purely neutral point of view, it set up a great match here, because if Villa had got another one, you'd have felt that maybe it would have been too much for Tranmere. So it makes it a fascinating game for the neutral.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will be switching off here. He's very much switched on to all the possibilities. Cox finds Saunders. It comes to Houghton. Great challenge by Brannan. Now Daly. Offside. Daly and Atkinson was offside. That was a great challenge, though. 10 minutes to half-time, and it's flown by, that 35 minutes. What about this tackle, Kevin?
Yeah, it was terrific. It's just passed it there. We just missed it on the thing. But goals win matches, but sometimes tackles like that don't do you any harm. You know, the lad had to get in there because it suddenly opened up. I think it was for Houghton, I'm not sure. But another step and he was in.
Saunders. Brannan's clearance. McGrath heads it back in again. Saunders is looking really lively today. Villa haven't been that impressive at home this season, by the way. They've only won half of their 18 games here in League and Cup, and of course they lost their home tie against La Coruña in the UEFA Cup, having got a good draw away from home. They've been better away this season. In fact, they've been excellent away, one of the best away records in the whole country. Hughes with a good header back. Cox misread the bounce, and it comes to O'Brien. He's got Aldridge in support, and he had Nevin to his right. If he could have released him, Nevin would have had a clear run on goal. York, that's Daly. York not even amongst the substitutes today. Richardson going forward. Here's Daly again. Good ball into Saunders, and now Townsend didn't catch the shot properly.
No, unfortunately, it just fell behind him. But again, the thing that Villa have done so well up to now is delivered good balls in. This is another difficult one to defend. He nearly gets to it, comes off the back of his foot, and really, it's just behind him. Look, it's on his left foot, which he would have wanted, but it's just fallen behind Townsend.
Villa just move up and catch Tranmere Rovers offside. John Aldridge. Ron belts out the orders. I'm quite sure none of his players can hear a word of it in this raucous atmosphere at Villa Park.
You're quite right. I think Malcolm think I'm wasting my time at Newcastle. But it's amazing. If they score a goal and you shout, well done, they seem to hear it. But if you're giving them a roasting for something, it's amazing how they can cock a deafener.
Well, he might have been shouting out, well done to Dean Saunders in that moment. He almost got away.
This is more like the Dean Saunders of old, what we've seen today, and that's a great run. It's only the wind, I think, in the end, taking the ball into the keeper's hands. But he's lively, he's inventive. A lot of people say when he first goes to clubs, he does very well, and then he peters out. I think that's a bit unfair. His runs he makes are terrific, hard to defend against.
Got to kick this one, Bosnich. It wasn't easy with Nevin bearing down on him. Nevin, I thought, was offside when it was played back in then. The linesman's let it go. The cross goes in towards Aldridge. Teal gets it clear. Daly. Goal kick.
There maybe you see the difference in quality of ball in. I mean, he would be looking for a better quality cross than that. When Villa have got in those positions, they have delivered very, very well. But you're talking about the offside there. A lot of referees and linesmen now before games are saying that if the player's running back and not interfering with play, then, you know, obviously they won't put the flag up. But I think it was the manager, I don't know who he was, who said that every player on the pitch surely is interfering somewhere with play.
Yes, the famous old quote, isn't it? If he's not interfering with play, what on earth's he doing on the pitch? Here's Houghton. Couldn't find Atkinson, no. He still got a foot there, Atkinson. Now Saunders, taken off him by Brannan. Aldridge, clever layoff to Nevin. Haven't seen much of Nevin yet. Aldridge, seeing him now again. Good ball as well. Brannan. Now Nevin has come across from the right to the left. And his marker, Barrett, hasn't come with him, but Richardson did. Well played, Kevin Richardson. Tranmere's throw. It's a vital last 5 minutes of the half, really, for both sides. And the goal attempts show how even in that sense this match is. Nobody wants to concede anything silly now. O'Brien. It's a decent looking ball that just carried too far ahead of Nolan. Richardson. Cox. Again, intelligent work by Saunders, running into space, taking the defender with him. And gaining a free kick. He's absolutely irresistible in this form, Dean Saunders. And he works so hard. Richardson. Useful ball in. O'Brien got it away, though. Richardson again, and Houghton was offside. Apparently he doesn't think so.
Yeah, it's one of the few occasions they've been caught offside, because it is difficult to be caught offside when the other team's playing with a sweeper system. But if the sweeper reads it well and just steps up, it can still work for them, as it did there.
I mentioned incidentally that Villa's home form had been disappointing. Well, Tranmere's away form has been dodgy this season. Only 4 wins in 19 matches away from Prenton Park. And they've had a bad run in the league recently with just 2 wins from their last 11 league games, though they're still very much in the promotion picture. Promotion is not the name of the game today, though. It's all about Wembley and a place in the Coca-Cola Cup final. And at the moment, who would dare to say which of these 2 teams will win that place? Referee's having a word there with one of the Tranmere lads, McGreal, who I think tried to kick the ball away from the free kick. Again, good, sensible, lenient attitude taken by Alan Gunn. Richardson's free kick. Nixon comes to claim it and loses out. Well, if you're going to come that far, I always think as a goalkeeper you've got to get to it. He didn't.
He's come an awful long way for this. This is a difficult one for the keeper because it's dipping away from him. But he's made his mind up to come, and I tell you, he's lucky he's got away with it, because if that had been on target, obviously it was in. There's no one guarding the net at all. Great quality ball in again from Richardson. And this, for me, has been the difference between the 2 sides in the first half. If there has been much of a difference, it's the quality of crosses that Villa have put in. Every single cross has been worth something, whereas with Tranmere sometimes you feel it's a hit and hope sort of situation.
A long ball forward by O'Brien. McGrath underneath it. Atkinson. Higgins really shared tight to him, marking. But Atkinson's got away from him. Houghton. Just lost it between his feet. It's great play by Daly and Atkinson before that, and Daly wins it back. Townsend. Richardson. Cox. The clearance by McGreal and then by Irons. Pressure here from Villa. Teal's given it away, but it was miscontrolled by Hughes. Houghton. Cox, the up and under towards Atkinson. Did well to climb so high, but didn't get any power on the header.
Another great ball in, whipped away from the keeper. He's not coming again because he's just come for one and hasn't got it, but this time it's the right decision.
Wasn't a good kick again by Nixon. And that's a foul by Richardson, although he's the one in agony at the moment, but he's given away a free kick. Challenge on McGreal. Minute of the first half to go. Houghton. Saunders. Richardson. And he wins the throw of Irons. Here's Teal. Daly. Townsend. Barrett down the left flank. We move into stoppage time. Aldridge for Tranmere. Now Malkin's got real pace, he'll keep going for this one. Bosnich has got to come out of his goal and did the right thing. He better be careful, he better be very careful. He's had the benefit of the referee's doubt once today. Aldridge tried to whip it straight back in. Bosnich was in a real dilemma then. He didn't want the throw taken quickly because he was yards from goal, of course.
Yeah, but the worst thing he could do is get on the wrong side of the referee, because he's got him to thank for still being on the pitch, and that, the slightest thing he does wrong from now on, and I'm afraid he will go.
Yes, he's on a tightrope, this young man.
He's an excellent goalkeeper though, Alan, and possibly the most exciting in the Premier League, because he's only been in it a short while. He's already made a tremendous impression with people.
Stoppage time gone. Townsend forward to Saunders. Barrett. Daly. Barrett swings it in high. Saunders with the shot, and as he kicked it, the referee blew a half-time whistle. And what a splendid 45 minutes football we've seen here at Villa Park. Aston Villa storming into a 2-goal lead through Dean Saunders and Sean Teal. At that point, Tranmere Rovers were rocking, but then they got a goal back with a penalty. John Aldridge was fouled, got up and converted it himself, and at 2-1, it meant that Tranmere regained their aggregate lead. They're 4-3 ahead over the two legs at the moment, with another 45 minutes at least of sparkling and dramatic football to come.
Okay, Ron, there's a lot of comments about the referee not taking any action against the goalkeeper of the penalty.
He's going for the ball. I haven't seen the replay, but he wants to go and get a hand on the ball.
And a quick summary on the first half.
Well, the dream starts. Right, they've got themselves back in it. The game's very poised now. What's their goal scoring opportunity?
And this
Welcome back to Villa Park, where it's Aston Villa 2, Tranmere Rovers 1. Tranmere ahead 4-3 on aggregate, and a quite amazing first half. There's so much to pack in. We might have a spot of bother here. But let's talk first, Trevor and Alex, about that impressive start that Rovers made to the game.
Yes, they should have actually gone into the lead. They had two good chances, one with Nevin and then one with Malkin. But they found themselves then a goal behind. We're obviously in the opening chance. It's a good through ball here, and you fancy Aldrich in this situation to score. I don't know whether he's fouled there, but he doesn't get his shot in. Nevin gets onto it, and that's a great save from Bosnich.
I think, Alex, it was John King's intention always to come out fighting. It was his best method of defence for this game.
Well, I think they've got off to too good a start. They could have scored twice. Here's another one where no one has come onto the byline. He puts a good ball in, and Malkin has hit the ground with a shot, and he should have done better. And once they got the good start in the game, you felt they got overconfident because they've lost a goal by being too clever in their own half of the field and lost the first goal from trying to play their way out of a dangerous area.
We should see that in a moment. I imagine Ron Atkinson's thoughts after those opening few minutes must have been pretty dire.
Yes, but then we saw Ron when they got the first goal, and then when they got the second one, you really must have felt they're on their way.
This is the first one. It's a great cross.
This is the first goal. This is what Alex is talking about. That ball should have been kicked over the stand. He's tried a little ball back here. Townsend, great challenge, foot up, but he can get away with it in this country. Here he plays a near post ball, and that's a terrific run from Saunders. And in the back of net it goes.
And brilliant delivery from Townsend.
Yeah, well, it's a bouncing ball, and he's tried to be clever with it. And as Trevor says, that should be in row 6 of the stand. But give credit to Andy Townsend. He's won his challenge, and he's whipped in a great ball, and nightmare for defenders that.
Well, with the second goal, Sean Teal, I swear there was a moment's pause while everybody looked and checked who scored this one. It was an amazing one.
Well, really, the Tranmere defender, I think it's Hughes, is just letting him run inside. Now, for a player with Hughes' experience, you expect him to do better there, but credit to Sean Teal. He's thrown himself at it, he's been brave with it, and he's given them a great cushion, Aston Villa, particularly as the start of the game there. 2-0 down, and they could have been 3-1 down. They could have been another couple of goals down. They're back in the game, but then it's all changing again.
It has. We have to move in quickly, Trevor, and show this last incident. It was controversial, wasn't it, really? Should Bosnich have gone for this?
Well, we don't like to see goalkeepers sent off, but that's quite clearly a foul, and my first thoughts were that he was going to be sent off, but at the least, he should have got a yellow card. And for him to get away with nothing, it's quite incredible, but definitely a penalty. And I think that the way Aldrich took it, I mean, he's one of the best penalty takers around, and he took it quite coolly in front of the masses at the Holt end. Not easy, but that's a great penalty.
Great penalty. A great game so far. We'll take a short break there, but we'll be back with more analysis from our experts here in the studio and a reaction from the touchline with reporter Gary Newbon. Stay with us. Welcome back. Villa ahead on the day, but down by 1 goal on aggregate. They could have pulled it back a bit, though, couldn't they, towards the end? Dalian Atkinson got free.
Yes, the feature of Villa's play in this first half has been the quality of crosses. And here you see a good cross coming in. And Nixon's so fortunate here. He comes, doesn't make contact, and it just goes past the post.
Well, the simple question, I think, Trevor, has to go to Alex. Who's going to win this one?
I think the happiest manager will be John King. 2-0 down, they looked as if they're on their way out. They've clawed their way back in. There's going to be more goals, really. But if Tranmere score again, I think they'll have got a real uphill struggle. But experience is vital. They're going into their own end. I'm going to call for Villa, just.
OK. Trevor, a quick word?
I'm going to agree with what Frank Bruno said before the game. Sitting on the fence.
OK. Let's sit on the fence. We'll join John King now, the Tranmere manager, who's with Gary Newbon.
John, what's been your message to your team during that half-time break?
Well, obviously we've got to get hold of the ball. I mean, we did it early on in the game. We took the game to them for the first quarter of an hour, and you probably saw the 3 glorious chances we had, and we could have wrapped the game up, but we've allowed them to come back into the game now. And they've rocked us. You know, balls have come in the box, and we've made a couple of defensive mistakes. Balls should have been cleared instead of, you know, you can't play football all the time. You play percentage of the game at times, but balls have come in there and they've punished us. But we've got, again, a lifeline, if you want to call it, because we know we got the penalty. Aldo's put it away, so we're back in the game.
Thank you, John.
A lifeline is how the Tranmere Rovers manager John King has described that goal. And a lifeline to Wembley it might well be. Incidentally, if Tranmere do get to Wembley, it is by no means a new experience for them, or would be, because they've been there 5 times in a recent period of 3 years in various competitions, and they've made the divisional playoffs in 3 of the last 4 seasons. So we're not talking about just any old First Division team here in Tranmere. They really have been used to success in the last few years, and indeed it's remarkable to think that only 7 years ago the club almost went out of the league. They needed a win on the last Saturday of the season to avoid the drop to the Vauxhall Conference, and they almost also went bankrupt. What a fairy tale story this has been for them. Townsend. McGreal over his own head with the clearance. Brannan helps it further forward. Richardson, challenged by Malkin, and the throw in to Villa.
Alan, Villa are kicking towards the favourite end now, so that'll make a slight difference to the way they think. Every football club has the favourite end, like the Kop at Liverpool.
Yes, the Holt end packed with people today as York tries to thread it through to Saunders. That was an excellent effort by Saunders. I don't know what the decimal equivalent is, but that's the old-fashioned turning on the sixpence, if ever you've seen it.
Yeah, he's very sharp today, and you know he's always looking for shots at goal. That one unfortunately went straight at the keeper, but it could so easily have gone in the corner, and it would have given Nick some problems.
Townsend plays it forward again. Hughes under no pressure. Long kick by Nick's named at Aldridge. McGrath heads it away. Townsend on to Saunders. Good ball, Townsend. McGrath took it off him. Now Richardson. Nevin wins it back for Rovers. And again, a good challenge by Richardson. And it comes back to him once more. Nolan has Daly breathing down his neck. Nixon's got to kick this one. He took a risk with that first touch.
There's a prime example of what Alex Ferguson was talking about at half-time there. A lot of the trouble they've caused themselves today, Tranmere, by trying to play football in what you would describe non-footballing areas. And they paid the penalty once, and they still haven't learned the lesson by the looks of it.
McGrath finds Houghton. Knock forward towards Atkinson. Higgins gets it clear. Irons. Straight to Teal. Villa continue their attack with their captain, Richardson. Daly a bit slow to react there. And Nolan certainly didn't take any risks. Couldn't hear what you were saying was Daly's message, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there's a tremendous atmosphere here today. Great credit to both sets of supporters, because Tranmere are contributing to that, Alan. It's terrific atmosphere.
It's a good ball in from Townsend. Houghton with the shot, and it deflected. It's a corner.
Little Houghton there, you know, he's near, I don't know what age he is now, he's in his 30s, but if you put a speedo on him and see how many miles he's run on a football field, I think he would be up with in the millions. He really is a prolific worker.
Richardson's corner. McGrath getting up well. Only got 1 goal this season, unusually for him, Paul McGrath, and that was way back in August against Wimbledon, but ever dangerous from corners, Kevin.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating duel between him and Aldridge, because they must know each other like the back of their hands. They played together internationally on many occasions. And McGrath, for me, has been just a superb signing for Aston Villa, because everyone thought he was almost finished when he came here, but that's been a long way from the truth, hasn't it?
It certainly has. In fact, John Aldridge calls him the best defender he's ever played against. Hughes listening to Alex Ferguson's advice, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it was row C as well, which is what he said he should do.
And again, that was more like row X.
But that's what you've got to do, and that's another thing, you know, he's a sweeper more than a defender, and sometimes, you know, he's more creative than defenders would be, and it can cause problems, but he's doing the right thing there. He's just getting out of a danger area and giving everyone a chance to get organised.
I think the ref's sending the Villa substitutes to warm up in a different part of the field. I believe that's what he's saying, because
it'd be ironical if he sent Spink off and he didn't send Bosnich off, isn't it? I mean, they're supposed to warm up behind the linesman, which I think is what they're doing, but the colours are so similar, the tracksuits are so similar to the actual playing kit that he's making an issue of it, and I can understand that.
Actually, I'm not sure that's why he was drawn to, because Spink stayed in exactly the same place. Might have been something else. Houghton swings it in. Oh, it almost reached Dalian Atkinson. It was just touched away. Barrett. That's useful. And again, Barrett wins it. Gary Newbon is our man down on the touchline.
Yes, Nigel had a little bother there, Nigel Spink, because Ron Atkinson had asked him to carry a message out, so he went and did his warming up, but at the same time he was yelling some advice and a request to one of the Villa players, and that's when the referee obviously heard it and didn't fancy it, so Alan Gunn came over and gave him a telling off, but he was only doing what his manager asked him to do.
Thanks, Gary. O'Brien in possession for Tranmere. Finds McGreal. Good ball. Nolan. Nevin. Excellent return ball. Nolan's cross is flat. Good covering by Richardson as he's challenged, though, by Aldridge. Teal with the clearance. Great layout from Saunders. Daly. McGrath will help it on to Cox. And again, Cox. He didn't do any better second time, straight to Higgins. Brannan. Higgins was just anxious to get that back into the Villa half. They didn't really think about that ball. Boos from the Tranmere fans for Bosnich. The reference, no doubt, to the first half penalty incident. As Townsend goes through for Villa. Good tackle. And then it hit Townsend as it came off the defender Hughes. Nevin. Oh, that's brilliant play from Nevin. Great trickery on the ball, and then great running by Richardson to win it back. There are two players currently injured, though, inside the Tranmere Rovers half from that earlier challenge.
I think it was a clash of shins, and that'll be sore, you know. Terrific challenge from the sweeper Hughes, and unfortunately, I think they've clashed shins. They probably have shin pads on, but it looks like it's below that in the case of Townsend. It'd be a shame if any of these two had to go off, because certainly Hughes is very important for the way the system that they're playing.
Well, that was obviously a painful collision, and I noticed there was a signal to the Tranmere bench. I don't know whether that means that Hughes is struggling here to carry on. Townsend also hurt, but he seems to have recovered quicker. Hughes is still struggling a bit.
Yeah, it's amazing, despite all the mod cons and shin pads and all sorts of scrappings, that inevitable injuries still come along, and normally when you least expect them.
Well, John King has a possible replacement of Tony Thomas on the substitutes bench, but Hughes is back on his feet. He's all right. For the moment, anyway, though he's limping very heavily. He may be struggling to carry on. The Villa fans give their team vocal support again. They lead 2-1 on the day, but still trail 4-3 on aggregate. Teal beaten to it by Malkin, but no problem for Bosnich. Higgins' clearance. Teal under pressure from Malkin, and the foul by the Villa man. And Hughes, who's still limping, has gone forward nonetheless with a free kick. He's very dangerous from these free kicks. They look for him in the box. He's good in the air. But he can climb off the ground at the moment.
Well, if he was to get up and score a goal here, he wouldn't feel that injury that he's just received, I can tell you that.
O'Brien's kick is a good one. Higgins almost reached it. It came off McGrath, I think that. Yes, for a moment the referee was going to give a goal kick then, but it definitely came off the Villa man.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about this. This is a corner, but it was difficult because the referee was on the blind side. But McGrath gets that away, I think, from Higgins, and it was a good header. A difficult ball to defend again. Super ball in from Liam O'Brien.
Aldridge on the near post with Malkin. They both peel away then. Higgins comes in and flicks it on dangerously. Oh, that was so close.
I think that hit the post, Alan. I'm not sure. I have to see it again, but we're off again. This game never stops.
Yes, as we're looking at the replay here, Villa have suddenly broken clear. Aldridge's shot, yes, outside of the post, you're right.
And of course, I mean, at this moment in time, they're 30 minutes away, or just over 30 minutes away. Is it 34 minutes away from Wembley, Tranmere?
And here go Aston Villa again. Houghton almost broke to Daly. Does break to Nevin. Now O'Brien, Malkin, Aldridge. Poor clearance by Cox. He wasn't under pressure either. Play a little untidy in the middle third of the field. This is Teal for Villa. Still a goal behind on aggregate, although a goal ahead on the day. Saunders. Challenged by Brannan. Aston Villa get the throw in. And Aldridge got a knock, I think, in that incident that preceded him hitting the post. They certainly won't want him injured. They've got a free kick.
Here it is again. A great challenge in there. Dominic Irons, is it? Brannan. And really, I think Aldridge had a little bit more time than he felt he had there, and he may have snatched it a little bit. Still, you can't fault his goal record, so I'll have to keep quiet. It's much better than mine was.
McGrath knocks it back into Tranmere territory. Saunders with a header on. Higgins gets it away to Nevin. But Barrett is in first. Daly. Good looking ball. Houghton and Saunders go in, and Saunders got the final touch and lifted it just over the keeper and just into the crowd.
Again, the quality of the crosses into the box today from Aston Villa in particular, but also from Tranmere, but this particularly from Aston Villa, has been terrific. This is very difficult to defend. I think the keeper ends up coming with his legs. Great run from Saunders again. I mean, a lot of people have got to watch this guy and just watch the runs he makes, off the ball as well as when he's involved.
Yeah, he reminds me of a certain Kevin Keegan.
Might just be a little bit quicker than I was.
O'Brien has conceded the throw. Dean Saunders, 13 goals now this season. He was top scorer last season with 17 for Villa. That's how good this game has been. 17 goal attempts. Takes some teams about 3 games to run up that many.
When I was at Scunthorpe, we didn't get that in a season one year when we had to seek re-election.
Coming up to an hour of this absolutely fascinating Coca-Cola Cup semi-final, second leg. And it's Aston Villa leading Tranmere by 2-1 today, but Tranmere 4-3 up on aggregate. Foul against Malkin.
I think it's also tremendous credit to the players, Alan, because as we said before the game, the wind is swirling round, and it's difficult conditions to play good football, but to be fair to the 22 players on display today, they've tried to do that and been very successful doing it. It's been a very good game of football.
Here's Teal, scorer of Villa's second goal, looking for Saunders, who got there first. Nolan slides it out, Villa have a throw. That's the view Barrett has. Daly. Well, that's great play by Daly. Hughes seems to have recovered from that knock.
Yeah, he's reading the game very well there, because with the flat back four, Daly would have been in there, but he's just done his job that he's there to do for Johnny King and just swept it up.
Daly. Reflected again off Nolan. Townsend. Barrett. Teal. Headed away by Hughes, but inevitably now, when Tranmere get it clear, it goes to a Villa player and will come straight back in again. McGrath. The header by Houghton, you don't hear that too often, and it wasn't the best.
Again, what we talked about in the first half was the space that McGrath and Teal are starting to find now, and they're really being asked to do things that they don't normally do. And again, McGrath there, he put in a good cross in the end, but unfortunately he picked out probably the wrong player.
Saunders trying to get in behind McGreal here, and has done so. Into the box are Atkinson and Houghton on the far post. Cox. A flick by Daly, another player not exactly noted for his heading ability.
Can't be easy to head a ball with that hairstyle, to be honest with you, Alan. You know,
I think you were one of the first in Britain in the old days of the perms, weren't you, Kevin? Would you consider one of these hairstyles these days?
I don't know if I'm quite into that style, but I had a bit more at the back than Daly's got, but
I've got to be honest, he's got a bit more at the back than I've got on top, so I shouldn't talk. Here's Saunders. Foul on him. Aldridge shows his reaction angrily and then apologises when he realises Mr. Gunn might fish into the inside pocket for the old book. Nothing if not shrewd, these Scousers. Atkinson the target, perhaps, as the free kick goes in. And that was a spot of holding, was it? Well, that's a strange incident. They got away with it as Cox finally forces it through. Houghton into the middle to Atkinson. Higgins got it away. Well, the defender took a risk there, all right. Seemed to go on forever, that moment.
I don't think that ball will be coming back. I mean, that is more than row X, which he was told to do at half-time by Alex Ferguson. That's right over the stand.
Houghton for Villa. Dangerous looking cross. McGreal heads it clear. Again, it's Houghton. And if there was a letter beyond X, O'Brien has just found it. Or Malcolm, rather, has just found it. Houghton. Good ball back to him. There's a great shout for handball from all the Villa fans packed at the Holt End then. Hughes just walks away with a look of innocence. Let's have a look.
Great ball in, but unfortunately, I think he's just dipped his shoulder. And it's difficult to see from that angle, but 16,000 people can't be wrong, can they?
Well, they can if they're wearing claret blue. Now, this is that earlier incident here. Is that a foul by Malkin?
I thought the referee was like to let it go on, but at this stage, he still did very well.
Well, referee Gunn has had a few difficult decisions to make today. A bit of controversy, it all helps the pot roll. Nevin, good challenge, comes to O'Brien. He can hit the ball if he gets the chance. He didn't, because Richardson brought him down. He might get the chance from the resultant free kick. He scored some goals for Newcastle from free kicks, didn't he?
He certainly did. One very memorable one that won us the derby game at Sunderland at Roker Park, and He got double figures for us last season in the First Division, and a lot of them came from set pieces. It certainly is a free kick. It's just a little bit late there, Richardson. And he is capable from this sort of distance. And with this wind today, he could make it very difficult for Bosnich.
Yet to score in a Tranmere shirt, Liam O'Brien. Straight into the wall. Saunders breaks clear. It's great play by Saunders. He's been the man of the match for me today already. Well, he just had nowhere to go. He was in a cul-de-sac. Good tackle. Houghton. Townsend. Brannan. Tranmere under the cosh a bit at the moment.
Yeah, Alan, they've got to find a way. They're actually camped now, Aston Villa are camped in the Tranmere half. And, you know, in the first half, Tranmere's success came from the fact that they were catching them on the break. And so far this half, they haven't been able to get out of their own half, which is worrying, because I can't see them defending 25 minutes, 30 minutes against a side of Villa's capabilities without conceding a fair few chances.
Saunders. Hughes with the clearance. It's another of the no-nonsense variety, that one. Townsend. Houghton. The Brannan challenge has earned Villa a throw-in. They want to take it quickly, and they do. Lifted in again. It's a dangerous one for Nixon, but this time his anticipation and handling were good. Almost a foreigner in this side, Eric Nixon. He comes from Manchester. They're not particularly fond of Mancunians on Merseyside, but the Tranmere fans are very fond of him.
I never noticed that when I played over there, Alan. Always got on very well with the Mancunians.
Nevin. Nolan. O'Brien. This is McGreal. Nolan. Wasn't a bad effort! And that was a spectacular shot and an equally spectacular save. Catching it as well, I mean, that really is special.
That's the first really vicious tackle, or really bad tackle, I think we've seen in this game. It's been played in a tremendous spirit, no quarter given, no quarter asked, but been very fair. That one was slightly late.
McGreal, the culprit, and now Nixon must face the Villa free kick. Townsend, left-footed. McGrath with a header. Well, we can have another look at that spectacular save from Bosnich, Kevin.
Yeah, he cut inside on his left foot and he hit it terrifically. But, I mean, he made it look so easy. He's so athletic, I think is the word that springs to mind, that he made it look far, far more easily a save than it actually was.
68 minutes gone. Tranmere Rovers still holding on to the dream of a place in the Coca-Cola League Cup final at Wembley. They lead on aggregate, and they're in possession, but not for long. Whistle's gone, free kick.
You can see Ron Atkinson on the touchline there, and he'll be thinking, 22 minutes left, do I change it, or are we getting enough possession to break them down with what we've got? And, you know, all sorts of things will be going through his mind.
Good ball out by Nolan to Nevin, who couldn't survive the challenge from Richardson. Now Barrett. Teal. McGreal's header. Hughes, to me, is still not running freely after that challenge earlier. It won't really concern Ron Atkinson.
what will concern him, as I say, is the clock ticking down. And I wonder if they'll shove someone up on the sweeper for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because you get nothing for losing 2-1. It's either Wembley or nothing.
Barrett. Oh, Nixon looked for a second as though he'd misjudged that and come just a little too far out. He's a big lad though, 6'4", and he was able to recover. "20 minutes to go. Is it to be Tranmere Rovers of the First Division, or is it to be Aston Villa of the Premiership on their way to Wembley to meet either Manchester United or Sheffield Wednesday?" And that was a hopeful sort of ball by Brannan. Well, they must all be looking at their watches as anxiously as Ron Atkinson is, those Villa fans. And now they're looking anxiously to the other end of the pitch, with Tranmere in possession. Nevin. Excellent work by Barrett, but he's under pressure still. And has conceded the throw-in. He felt he should have had a free kick for the challenge by Nolan. No doubt his manager would agree.
Just caught out really by the fact that he's not a naturally left-footed player there. You know, if it had been Staunton there, it would have been easy for him. But for Earl Barrett, who's been asked to play left-back, it's not natural for him, and he struggled.
All the Tranmere fans, about 5,000 of them behind the goal there, attacking in the second half. They felt they should have had a free kick then. The referee didn't. O'Brien. Strong in the challenge with Daly. Aldridge chases the loose ball and was fouled by McGrath. That'll give Tranmere a moment to breathe in.
When you look at it, there's a lot of players on this pitch who'll be looking forward to going with the Republic of Ireland out to America. You know, even Liam O'Brien won't have given up the chance. He's fascinating clash with Townsend in midfield today.
O'Brien it is with the free kick. He lifts it forward towards Malkin, but it didn't come off really. Goal kick. Tranmere Rovers under John King incidentally have beaten Oxford, Grimsby, Oldham and Nottingham Forest to get to this stage. They drew both their away ties at Oxford and Forest. They'd be obviously more than happy with a similar outcome today, because that would be enough to take them to Wembley. Aston Villa have had a distinctly more difficult passage to this stage. They have had some very tough games against their local rivals Birmingham, then Sunderland away, Arsenal and Spurs. An injury for Malkin, but the referee hasn't stopped play to allow him to get treatment. Barrett. Malkin still down on the ground in the centre circle. It's a good early cross, and Houghton coming in on the far post. Brannan got it away from him. Corner.
I take it all back what I said about Earl Barrett there, Alan. That was a terrific left-footed cross from him. And I thought for 1 minute Houghton was going to get on the end of it, but he's not the biggest lad in the world, and maybe that cost him in the end.
Before the corner's taken, Malkin will get treatment. Looks like a knock on the calf. The corner kicks have worked out like this. Surprisingly few in the whole game, really. And Aston Villa, obviously, because of the amount of possession they've had, 4 to Tranmere's 2. Corner kick then to Villa. Malkin fit and on his feet again. And he comes down into the space to Atkinson. Back to Richardson. Tranmere hook it away, anywhere will do. Barrett's got the pace to get there ahead of the very pacey himself, Malkin. Everyone compressed into that middle third of the field again now. Barrett to Houghton. On to Saunders. Good control by him and that tight touchline position. Cox. McGreal wins it at the second opportunity and finds Nevin. Given away, though, to Houghton. And still Houghton. And on the far post, it's Saunders. Couldn't quite pull the ball back as he intended. Brannan knocks it long to Aldridge. He's done well to keep it in. Aldridge, no, he hasn't. It's gone out. At this point, Kevin, would you, as either manager, be thinking of a substitution, particularly Ron Atkinson?
I think Ron Atkinson, certainly. If I was Johnny King, obviously not, because they've got what they want. They're at Wembley if it stays the same. But Big Ron will be thinking, do I fetch young Fenton on? Maybe he'll give us a bit of life, or he's got, I can't say his name, but I think it's Hiogo or something like that.
That's a decent effort.
Thank you very much. He could play him up front and push him on the sweep, because he has got a big physical presence there. But I certainly think Ron will be thinking of doing it, and it'll probably be young Fenton. He's a player. I saw play against our reserve side, and I was very, very impressed with him. He has got electric pace.
Geordie lad as well.
He is. He's another one that unfortunately got away from our network of spies in the northeast, but that's invariably going to happen in an area like ours.
Under 15 minutes to go here. Are Tranmere on their way to dreamland? Or can Villa get another vital goal here? Certainly they have been caught in the offside trap on that occasion, and I think now Villa are going to make that substitution. And it looks like it's Neil Cox, I'm hearing from the touchline, who will come off. That's purely tactical, of course. It's not Houghton, he's just getting instructions from the manager about how to change things round now that young Fenton has come on. He's only 19, made his debut against Manchester City earlier in the week, and has just come back from a very successful loan period at West Bromwich Albion, where he made a very big impression there, played really well for them.
No doubt about it, he is a quality player and one for the future, but can he do it today and help them get to Wembley? Well, it remains to be seen, really.
What a hero he'd be if he could. Nevin for Tranmere. Good challenge by McGrath, but it comes back to Nevin. That's lovely skill again. They cross towards Aldridge, but Bosnich reacted well. And the youngster gets his first touch, Fenton. No offside. Tranmere appeal, but Saunders is onside. Townsend with the shot, it deflected away off O'Brien for a corner. 13 minutes to go. Villa leading on the day, but still, remember, 4-3 behind on aggregate. Over everyone's head in the end, that kick. Young Fenton with a sprint to try and keep it in, but couldn't quite make it. Can Aston Villa get that third goal, which would send the game into extra time? Can Tranmere Rovers hold on? Atkinson. Daly, before it reached him, the referee's whistle had gone. Foul by Hughes, free kick to Villa.
This is a dangerous situation. You know, it's in the sort of area where you can either have a shot and you're more than capable of scoring, or take it quick, as they tried there.
Yeah, Nolan was alive to the danger. Everyone bar Bosnich camped inside the Tranmere Rovers half now, but of course one quick counter-attack can be fatal. Corner though. They've got to keep concentrating, these Tranmere defenders. They've got a lot of work to do in this game.
Yeah, but they've got a lot to fight for. A place at Wembley, it'll be like a dream come true for most of them.
Well, Teal climbed highest of all, but couldn't direct it goalwards. Let's bring in Gary Newbon again from the touchline.
Yes, well, that was obviously a tactical change, because as Kevin was saying just a few moments ago, Ron is very worried about the clock ticking away. He's getting very frustrated, and it's purely to put another forward on the field. Take a defender off, put a forward on, and go for that goal that will keep Villa in this competition.
They have a shade over 10 minutes to rescue a possible place in the final. Offside there, Nevin, the referee said play on. Oh, that's brilliant play. Atkinson. Hits it straight against Brannan. Now Hughes.
You look at Ron Atkinson down the line there, and he's kicking every ball with him. He's like the captain who can't get on the field there. I know exactly how he feels, and you've got to be there to understand it, I think. But it's still on for them. They mustn't give up. He won't.
Fenton. Deflects to O'Brien. Good ball, sensible, keep possession. Got to do that. Tranmere when they get it back. Malkin on the left. Takes on Houghton. He's a bit too wily for that, Houghton. Been around too long. Finds Townsend with a good ball. Big space opens up. And into it gallops Barrett. 5 in the box for Villa. Hughes misses the cross, and it was almost bundled in by Saunders.
Well, he was unlucky there. It was another great cross from Earl Barrett. He's making me eat my words here. Terrific cross. I think he thought the lad Hughes was going to win it, and he just misses it, and it almost hits him, well, on the chin, I thought.
Another near miss, but another vital 30 seconds ticks away. Aldridge was a bit lucky with that one. He headed it back into his own half and he went straight to Brannan, but he's given it straight to Houghton. McGreal's challenge on Saunders, only a throw-in, no free
These
kick.
Tranmere players, Alan, now are going to just die for the cause. They've got to, because as I say, their dream is almost coming true. They're very near.
Good ball into the box. Staley missed it. Townsend got in just, oh look, inches really, inches ahead of O'Brien, and it was enough to make contact with the ball.
Another great cross in here, and you see the play arriving late, and it could have gone anywhere. Unfortunately for Villa, unfortunately for Tranmere, it went just wide.
Under 8 minutes remaining. Tranmere Rovers hanging on to their 1-goal aggregate advantage, hanging on to the dream of Wembley and a final against Manchester United or Sheffield Wednesday. What an achievement that would be, particularly in the week when it seems that their chairman and benefactor Peter Johnson is about to leave and go across the Mersey to Everton. That was a bad blow obviously to them if it does happen, but what a consolation if they get to Wembley.
I think, to be fair to Mr. Johnson, he's put a lot of money into the club. He's been really the saviour of the club in many ways, and it would be fitting tribute to him, I suppose, for what he's done for the club if they could finish by going to Wembley.
Yes, and I don't think he'll leave before the end of the season, come what may. Kevin, you've got to be thinking in a few minutes' time about an award to your man of the match, so ponder that one for the moment.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. There's a lot of players out there in contention. The main thing that I'm pleased about, it's been a good advert for the game, and even the second half, although it hasn't had the action of the first half in terms of goal and stuff, it's still been a fascinating struggle.
And it could yet, of course, go into extra time. One more Villa goal would produce that situation. McGrath hooks it forward again. Atkinson. Houghton. Comes back to Townsend. Daly needs a bit of magic here. Can Daly provide it? Very nearly.
You just get the feeling it's not going to happen for Villa. You know, they're creating some good openings. They're doing the right things in the right situation. This is where he's at his best, Daly. He's taking people on. Maybe the finish, he'd like to hit the target, but he's not far wide. Looks like the keeper Nixon had it covered though. So another chance gone begging, and they won't get many more. There's only 6 minutes left, just under, I think.
O'Brien wins an important header, but it drops to McGrath. McGreal under pressure here from Saunders. He's done well, the youngster. And he's won the throw-in as well. There's some tired old legs out there, particularly in the Tranmere side. All the chasing and running and covering and tackling and defending they've had to do. But there are now 5 minutes between Tranmere Rovers and a magnificent achievement. But they've conceded another corner.
You can always tell when there's 5 minutes left, the policemen come out, and when you're winning, you love it as a manager when they start walking past you, as they are now on each side of this ground. And when you're losing, you hate it.
Another Villa corner. Lifted in high towards Daly, and Atkinson who wins the header. And it just dropped onto the roof of the net. So Aston Villa, who remember won the League Cup the first season it was held 33 years ago, have been in 5 finals, won 3 of them, and are in their 9th semi-final, more than any other club in the land, have just about 4 minutes and a little bit more, probably with stoppage time, 5 minutes or so, to rescue this game. They lead 2-1 on the day, they trail 4-3 on aggregate. Saunders to Daly. Daly forward to Fenton. The back heeler was clever, but Hughes had read the danger. Aldridge just wanted to get it as deep into Villa territory as he could. McGrath. Should be no problem for Hughes, but at this time in the game, even the simplest clearance, I think, becomes anxious. Atkinson brushes aside Brannan. Richardson's cross is a good one, headed away by O'Brien. It's yet another corner. And the mass strength on the Holt end would almost try and suck the ball into the net if they could here. But there now are only 3 minutes and a little bit more remaining. Headed away again by the Tranmere defence. O'Brien, a break loose for them. They just want to get it into the corners and keep possession here, Tranmere. Aldridge did well to get it back to O'Brien. McGreal. And it's not really what we wanted from him at that moment. Hughes. Caught napping there by Atkinson. Wins it back, but before that they conceded the free kick. Villa tried to take it quickly, but the referee wasn't happy that the ball was stationary. Now they have taken it. Daly. And it goes towards Atkinson! They've done it!
It's a great ball in again, and this has been a feature of the game today from Villa, but what a great finish. There's still a bit to do, and Atkinson, who's not really been that involved in this second half, has started the dream off again for Aston Villa. There'll be a bit of controversy about the free kick that came to that, because he ordered it to be retaken and players weren't in position, and I'm sure they'll argue about that, but you can't argue with that finish.
Dalian Atkinson, whose late goal at Prenton Park gave Aston Villa hope, has scored another late goal here, and the stand we're in is rocking with the excitement of that goal. The whole of Villa Park, apart notably from this other end of the field where the Tranmere fans are, cannot believe they got out of jail so late in the game. We're into the last minute. Aston Villa have a 3-1 lead now. Crucially, it's 4-4 on aggregate, and extra time is looming. Atkinson's 14th goal of the season, not that one. His namesake on the field, his 4th goal in the Coca-Cola Cup, and his most important goal, I would say, ever for Aston Villa. Unbelievable scenes now, and psychologically, Aston Villa have gained the upper hand. So near, yet so far for Tranmere. But they're not finished yet. They've got a free kick. We are approaching 90 minutes. Bosnich has another important and anxious moment ahead of him. O'Brien will take the free kick for Tranmere. A goal now, obviously, there would be no time even for Villa to recover, I would think.
Is the game going to take another twist? It's been a fascinating game and it's still going.
O'Brien! Oh, it hit the inside of the post and came out. I do not believe it. That looked as though it had to go in. O'Brien denied his first ever Tranmere goal, and a goal that would have sent his new club to Wembley by a coat of paint.
Incredible, it seemed to hit the inside of the post as well.
Unbelievable stuff this. This game started dramatically, and the 90 minutes is finishing dramatically. And here goes Fenton, but he couldn't keep it on the field.
You just get the feeling after this it's not going to be there for Tranmere. What a great free kick. And it's the inside of the post it hits. Look, it could have gone in, it should have gone in. And it's come across and out, and you just get the feeling now. You know, I'd love to see Johnny King there in Tranmere, and I'd love to see Ron Atkinson. They can't both go. But you get the feeling it's swinging Villa's way here.
Well, what a match this has been. Atkinson, the hero of the day for Villa, gets it through to Daly, takes over again himself. Good challenge by McGreal. Minute and a half of stoppage time played. Barrett for Villa, looks for Fenton in the box. He's done well here, the youngster. He's done very well. And Houghton arrives in support, whipped away from him by Higgins. The referee's had a look at his watch. He's checked with his two linesmen. The final whistle can be only seconds away. O'Brien's clearance. Another Villa throw. Referee looks at the watch again. It's a corner. My word, it's heart in the mouth time for Tranmere Rovers at the moment. Deep into stoppage time. They've already had Wembley snatched from them once. They're facing extra time at the moment, but they're facing a corner as well. McGrath gets up, Atkinson's in there. Cleared as far as Teal. Back out again to Richardson. Into the box, but straight into the hands of Nixon.
I'm looking in the midfield now and I see number 7, I think it's Houghton. I think he's pulled his hamstring, which will be a nightmare for Ron Atkinson.
Yes.
Again, another great quality crossing for that goal. We're just seeing it again, and the more you think about today's game, there's been a difference between the sides. It has been the final ball in from Aston Villa has been slightly better than Tranmere's, and they've profited from that again there.
It's the final whistle, and we face half an hour of extra time, and anyone who's watched this game from the start won't be desperately unhappy about that. If you're a neutral, this has been hugely entertaining, and now we face 2 periods of 15 minutes to decide who goes to Wembley. It's got to be decided today. We'll be back right after this break.
Welcome back. Dramatic stuff here at Villa Park, where a late goal from Daly and Atkinson means we're up for half an hour of extra time. And with me, Alex Ferguson, what will the managers have been saying over the last couple of minutes?
Well, I think that Tranmere obviously are right down. They've lost a goal 2 minutes ago. They've hit the post from a free kick. There's every right to think that they'll be thinking it's not their day, you know. And Villa have rescued it out of nothing because they didn't lose if they were ever going to score. And now they're back in it. But it could go to penalties now.
Trevor Francis, those Villa fans obviously confident. Would you say that the onus now rests with Ron Atkinson's side?
Very much so. They've got the impetus now. They had 2 or 3 chances towards the end, but as Alex said, it didn't look as if it was going to happen. And then that free kick. It just may not be Tranmere's day.
That's the scene set then for 30 minutes of a really dramatic afternoon's football. Let's rejoin your commentators, Kevin Keegan, but first, here's Alan Parry.
So Aston Villa will get the first period of extra time underway, 15 minutes each way, remember. And if there were to be no further goals in that period, then we would face a penalty shootout. As Townsend keeps the pressure going right from the off, and it's going to be mighty difficult now, I think, for Tranmere. And incidentally, there is a substitution for Aston Villa, as Kevin Keegan spotted. Ray Houghton did presumably pull a hamstring and has had to go off, and the man over the ball, Ugo Ehiog, a very, very talented and promising young defender or midfield player, on in his place. He's gone in on that right-hand side of the field. So that means, of course, Aston Villa have used both their substitutes, with Graham Fenton having come on in the 90 minutes. Free kick to Villa. Townsend whips it in. Saunders with a little header. Fenton couldn't reach it on the far post. That's a goal kick. Let's return to Gary Newman for the moment.
Yes, the message to the Villa players from Ron Atkinson at half-time was, we'll take it nice and steady for the first 15 minutes of extra time, and then we'll see what happens. Ron didn't want the fantastic relief that he showed, obviously, when that equaliser, as far as the aggregate scores are concerned, went in, getting through to the players. So it's nice and calm on the Villa bench, with the message to Daly and Atkinson to play wide on the right in midfield.
Here's Daly under pressure from Nolan, but he skipped away from him. It's a very good run. And I noticed also in all the excitement there that Thomas, the Tranmere sub, has come on as well. I don't think even Mr. Newman noticed that one. Thomas is on and looking around. I think it's Hughes he's replaced. Presumably he was still feeling that injury he got midway through the second half. Here's Teal. Barrett. Nevin. Comes to Irons. And very much the meat in the sandwich there, and very much Tranmere's free kick.
I know you can't help feeling that it's all gone for Villa and it's all gone against Tranmere, but there's still a long way to go. This has been the year of shocks, and Tranmere have been a great advert again, if they ever needed one, for the Ensley First Division today. And I don't think it's over yet, because Villa, you know, lots of things that can happen. You can get an injury or anything. They've got all the subs on.
Here's Saunders, who's performed magnificently today. It wasn't a bad effort. Nixon didn't look that comfortable with it either.
It was one of those awkward ones, this one, that just bounced in front of him. And I don't think he was as comfortable as he looked in the end. Look, it just started to squirm away from him. But credit to the keeper. He got down there and he made the save when he had to.
Aldridge with a little downward header. Malkin loses out. Townsend. Came off Daly. Tranmere's throw-in. That's Thomas, yet another Scouser in the Tranmere ranks. Just come back from a two-match ban. He's only 22 and can play in defence or midfield. Has obviously gone in at the back in Hughes' place.
I think Alan Ekiog coming on for Villa has actually given a defensive formation again, and probably that's not a bad thing, because they were playing a little bit with gay abandon towards the end of the half because they had to, and now they can get down to a settled formation again.
Good work by Townsend, another who's had a good game today. Benton helps it on to Daly. Richardson. Well, Brannan's got to be careful here. He was hoping that would have a safe passage out for a goal kick, but Atkinson was pounding along right behind him. Coming up to 5 minutes completed in this first period of extra time. Half an hour extra will be played, and should there not be any further goals in that period, we would have a penalty shootout to decide it. Teal tries to make that academic. I think the first half goal went to his head there. He doesn't normally get too many from 25 yards out, sure to him. Wins the header on the halfway line. Turned forward then by Teal, who's now moved into the left-back position, it would seem. So they've changed things around again, I've noticed, Villa now. They've got El Barra back in at right-back. Ehiog has gone into the middle of the defence alongside McGrath, and Teal has come over to the left.
I think that's a good move. As I said before, that gives them a bit of stability from the back and start to build up again, because the reason they took a gamble was because they had to. They don't have to gamble now, not for the moment anyway.
Here is Ehiog, and McGreal scoops it away from Saunders but couldn't prevent it crossing the line. Gary Newborn down there?
Yes. Ron Atkinson getting worried, funny enough, about Pat Nevin not being marked to his satisfaction, and that's why he's moved him back, although Ehiog has now gone back into the right-back position.
Ehiog. It's a poor ball, made it very easy for Nixon. Well, almost inevitably after the tremendous excitement of the closing minutes of normal time, it's gone a little bit quiet at the opening of this period of extra time. John Morrissey, the remaining Tranmere outfield substitute, looks as though he might be coming on. I know that John King seriously thought about reintroducing him right from the start today, but decided against it in the end. Nevin battling away there with Barrett, and it's possible that Nevin might be the man to be replaced. It would be a winger for a winger. We will wait and see on that.
I wouldn't put it against Johnny King actually putting another winger on and playing with two. They have played that way a lot of times, and of course they've lost Hughes at the back now, so the sweeper system has been changed slightly, and maybe he may feel he'd be better with an actual normal back four and two wingers.
Nevin indeed does come off. He's not had the most effective of games today. And John Morrissey, who only recently lost his place in the side, comes in. I'm ashamed to say, I remember seeing his dad, Johnny Morrissey, play for Everton in the 60s. I was very, very young at the time, of course.
And I played against him as well, but I was very young as well. I think I was only about 13.
Free kick has been earned by Saunders.
They've conceded an awful lot of free kicks from a similar sort of area in this second half, and they've been punished a couple of times, especially with the goal which was from a quick free kick, and they've just got to defend in numbers and hopefully come through this period, and they'll be looking to grab one on the break.
We've got the extra presence of Ehiog in there now. It's Saunders who gets there first, though. He's not the biggest by any means. He's only about, what, 5'9", but like all good players, he climbs so well, doesn't he?
It's the running off the ball that gets him in. It's the runs he's making. He's not big, but if you make the right runs and you're brave enough, and he certainly does make the right runs, and he is brave enough, you'll get your goals, and that used to be my trademark. You don't have to be 6'2" to score headed goals, but you do need to time your runs properly, and of course you need quality balls in, which Villa have done all day, as we've said.
Well, if you happen to be just coming in from walking the dog, you've missed some excitement here, but there's still plenty to come. It's 3-1 on the day to Aston Villa, 4-4 on aggregate. We're playing extra time, and we've got just a little over 5 minutes of the first period of extra time remaining. Should never walk the dog on a Sunday when there's football on anyway. In goes the free kick, not very successfully, goal kick. Well, you can only imagine what Johnny King's thoughts must be, having seen his emotions seesaw today, Kevin. They really have seesawed, haven't they?
Yeah, but he'll still believe that they can get there. And some of the players may want to doubt it. They may feel things have gone against them. but he'll still believe they can get there. And he'll want to walk the same path as Phil Shankly, his great idol.
Here's Morrissey. I think it's his first touch since he came on. Another winger in the Nevin mould, tricky, good at taking players on.
And an excellent crosser of a ball. He probably is one of the best crossers of the ball in the First Division. He really is. If he gets into those areas, he will deliver. That is it really is, I think, his strongest point.
Malkin awaits the free kick. Taken by McGreal, over everyone's head though, apart from Teals. Players getting tired now. You can see some slightly inaccurate clearances coming in. O'Brien seems to be as poised as ever though.
He's so calm on the ball, he won't get flustered. He plays at his pace and he plays well at that pace.
Here goes Morrissey using his pace against Barrett. But you've got to have some pace to get around Barrett.
Yeah, you don't only need pace to get around Barrett. He's very, very strong. Upper body strength is terrific, and just there, he just nudged him off the ball. And I think Morrissey was wanting a free kick, but it was a perfectly legal challenge. It was just sheer strength. Pace and strength, that's his two great assets, Earl Barrett.
Good header clear by Thomas. Aldridge only just offside there. He's having a real go at the linesman, and where we're sitting, it looked very, very marginal, that. 35 now, John Aldridge. Great character, great lad, great career he's had. And if he could get back to Wembley in these days, when many players are thinking of the old second career, that would be some story.
I think looking at it from this point of view now, really, I think Tranmere would be happy with penalties, and I think Villa are the ones who want to go and try and take this game now.
Here's McGrath. Fenton. And that's a corner, yes. So the big guns come forward. McGrath. Ehiog's gone to the near post, and Teal hanging around on the edge of the box. It's Teal who it was aimed at. That's gone out for a goal kick. Let's go back to Gary briefly.
Well, in contrast, Alan, to Ron Atkinson, who I've never seen leap around as much as he has this afternoon, John King has kept pretty calm. His main concern, as Kevin was saying, I think is just to survive extra time. He's been yelling to his players, get tighter and tighter, but I think the first signs of real tension are getting through to Johnny King. He's just asked me for a drink, and I've just thrown him a soft drink, and he's obviously really feeling it now. The question for him is, can Tranmere, who've done so well, hang on and survive to penalties?
If you threw him a soft drink, I'm surprised he didn't throw it back here. He likes his pint, John. Sliced clearance, touched away by Atkinson to Saunders. Townsend, Fenton, Saunders. Difficult one that for Nolan. He did well take that high on the chest. Malkin gets it forward and swept up calmly by Richardson. Moved into the last minute of the first half of extra time now, without any addition to the scoreline. Fenton. Sliding tackle by Higgins. Villa get the throw. And it's been a fairly uneventful first period of extra time, this. Tiredness playing a part now, I'm sure. O'Brien for Tranmere Rovers. Ehiog challenged by Malkin.
It's a bit like the first round of a fight again, you know, the sort of impetus has gone a little bit and they're sounding each other out.
This would have been a corner if it had gone. That's why Tranmere was so anxious. And that's the end of the first period of extra time. Let's quickly bring in the watching managers of the two teams who will join battle on Wednesday, Trevor Francis and Alex Ferguson, for their views. Trevor first, perhaps.
Well, I think that it appears that Tranmere are looking to take it to penalties. I think the emphasis is on Aston Villa now to get the goal. They won't want it to go to penalties at the moment, but it looks as if it could go to penalties.
And Alex, what's your view at the moment?
Well, that's what Tranmere are now playing for, and I think the little bit sharpness has gone out of Villa's game, having scored a third goal. There's a drop in the tempo of their game, which tends to suggest that maybe it's going to go to penalties now.
Thanks, lads. And a reminder at this point that the second leg of the Sheffield Wednesday against Manchester United semi-final will also be live on ITV on Wednesday night. And before that, you can see Arsenal's European match live as well. That's got an early evening kick-off. Check your newspapers for details. But at the moment, we are possibly 15 minutes away from deciding one of the Coca-Cola Cup finalists. I say possibly because, a reminder, if there are no more goals, we will have penalties. It's a big prize, Wembley, and one of the foremost cup competitions in English football, and of course the possibility of Europe as well if you go on and win it. Saunders. Townsend, lovely ball. Daly. Nolan barring the way. So it goes back to Barrett. Daly again. It's a dangerous cross. McGreal gets it clear. Only as far as Saunders. Loads of room here for Townsend. It's a brilliant save, and it's hit the post. And it's still not out, is it? The referee's looking to his linesman, and the linesman has flagged. So
you just cannot back off like Tranmere are trying to do here now. Nobody wants to come out of the box. And it's incredible amount of space he's got. I mean, he's a class player. He's looked to bend it in the far post, and to be fair to the keeper, he's made a great save. But Barrett really should have put it in. But again, it's on his left foot, and he's hit the post.
Same post Aldridge smacked in the normal 90 minutes.
But Tranmere are dropping deeper and deeper and inviting trouble, and they nearly got it there. They got away with it, and maybe they'd be wiser if they pushed forward a little bit more.
Barrett for Aston Villa. Daly loses out in midfield. Irons. That's good play by him. Has grafted hard today, Kenny Irons. Plays it in behind Aldridge, though. And Aldridge, despite being on the ground, has still almost got the ball. O'Brien with a tackle, but Villa come out with the ball. Fenton has continued his run, and he's in a good position on the 6-yard box. The cross stopped by Higgins first time, but Atkinson's still here. Daly. Atkinson again. Too many defenders between him and the goal. Richardson. And that's no problem for Tranmere this time. Well, the statistics tell all the story there. 3-1 Villa lead in the match. 4-4 the aggregate score over the two legs. 17, almost 18 minutes of extra time completed. And still we wait and wonder who will go to Wembley. One of England's most famous clubs, or one of England's smallest clubs, who are almost out of business and out of the league just 7 years ago.
I've been to Villa Park many times, Alan. I don't think I've ever known such a good atmosphere for a game. I've played here on occasions in big games. but they really got behind the team, and possibly they've hauled them back into this game in the 90 minutes, and they could be the difference in extra time. But you keep getting the feeling now that Tranmere less and less are trying to play the way out of trouble, and just kicking it long and saying let's just try and hold out. And against Villa, with the talent they've got in the side, that could be difficult.
That looked a nasty injury here to Townsend. Judging by his reaction straight away, he was absolutely writhing in agony, and a lot of the other players have gone over anxiously.
Well, it'll cause great concern, because of course they haven't got another sub to bring on, have they? So they could end up with 10 men if it was serious, and that's the fascination of football.
That looked horrible. It looked really horrible. His leg got caught at a very nasty angle.
Yeah, he's possibly twisted his knee. It could be a ligament. It may be nothing more than just a slight knock. But it was Liam O'Brien himself. It was a fair enough challenge. I think he just fell awkwardly.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's not what Villa want at this stage. As Kevin has said, they don't have any more substitutes left. Well, none they can bring on anyway.
He's certainly, is in pain there.
Well, Andy Townsend feels he's got a bit of a jinx on him in these semi-finals. As I mentioned earlier, he's played in 5 before this in the various big competitions and never been on the winning side. It'd be ironic if he wasn't even able to complete this one because of injury, and certainly it's taking a long time for Jim Walker to sort him out here, and the other players look on very anxiously indeed.
You also start to look ahead and say if it goes to penalties, he probably would have taken one of their penalties if it gets that far. So possibly would Houghton, who's gone off.
Yeah, good point.
He'll be looking round on action thinking, hold on, who's going to take these 5 penalties for me? He will be thinking things like that. And then he'll be telling himself, don't be silly, we'll win it, it won't come to that. And, all sorts of things go through your mind. But he's got up, Townsend, thank goodness.
An anxious moment, though, when he first has to run for the ball or make a challenge. He's twisted his knee quite badly, obviously. So we'll have at least a couple of minutes stoppage time to add now. So although the clock's showing 21 minutes, which would only give us 9 more, it's more likely to be 10-11, I would think. Nixon delivers the kick as long as he possibly can, and it's touched on towards Aldridge. McGrath gets it away. Townsend is limping now, virtually unable to even jog for the ball in the middle of the field. They'll try and keep him on as long as he can for, as they say, nuisance value. But what they won't want, of course, is for him to make that injury even worse simply by staying on. He's trying to run it off, but he's looking very uncomfortable. Meantime, Villa have a free kick. Swung into the box towards Ehio. Cleared by Thomas, the Tranmere son. Now O'Brien. The linesman has flagged for offside in the middle against Daly and Atkinson.
I've got to say that Tranmere have done tremendous here. They've come here, they've not tried to defend that lead for a long time. They've been forced into defending it in the end by the superiority of Villa at a vital stage in the match. But they have been a terrific advert for the division, and they've still got a chance of getting there. I mean, there's 9 minutes left, possibly a little bit more because of injuries, and there's all to play for here still.
Well, certainly Villa are effectively reduced to 10 men at the moment, because Townsend is just hobbling in midfield, couldn't reach that ball, for instance. Ehio could certainly reach that one, and in reaching it, he's taken Malkin by the ankle as well. That was a bad challenge, really.
He'll get booked for that one, I'm almost sure. It was bad, it was... there wasn't really any intention to play the ball here. And it's the first really bad one we've seen, I think. Yeah, people might argue that he got the ball and the man, but it's the way in which he did it.
I don't think there's been a yellow card, and there's not going to be one for that challenge either. And I think Alan Gunn should be applauded for his attitude to the players on the field today. He's not one of those referees who goes around showing cards like, you know, confetti at a wedding.
He obviously doesn't like writing reports. I think they've got to send a report in every time. And I mean, you wouldn't have argued if he booked about 3 or 4 players here today. I've seen players booked for a lot less, but actually he's kept the game moving. And because of that, I think the players have respected it and done the same. And he's helped make it a better game of football than it possibly would have been had people been booked early on, you know, 4 or 5 yellow cards dished out. Because it's never been that sort of game, really.
So John King, who's seen it all in his 55 years, and an awful lot of them in football as well, and he had part-time jobs once as a window cleaner and things like that, the Tranmere manager, when he went out of the professional game and coached Northwich Victoria and Carnarvon in the non-league circuit. Still wondering if he can take his beloved Tranmere to Wembley. Here's Morrissey, trying to make that dream come true, but he's dispossessed rather easily there. Townsend played that forward and then winced with pain as he did so. That looked a foul by Richardson on Irons, and that's how Mr. Gunn saw it as well.
Irons has done very, very well for them. He's not the quickest, but he's just kept plugging away in there. And as the game's got on and players have got tired, his strengths made him look a little bit quicker than he did in the early stages of the game. And he's starting to have an influence in that midfield for Tranmere.
5 minutes plus stoppage time to sort out the winners. O'Brien for Tranmere Rovers. Malkin. Well, it was a tired sort of ball by Malkin, but it's not surprising. Villa get the benefit of the throw. Well, this game has inevitably had its periods where the action has sagged a little, but by and large it's been a very entertaining afternoon of football, which began in really dramatic fashion. I wonder if it's going to end that way. Well, it's bound to anyway, even if we don't get a goal now, because that would mean, of course, that we would go to penalties. 5 to each side, and if they were still level then, sudden death as they call it. O'Brien, Morrissey. The clearance was by Teal. Brannan heads it forward again for Tranmere. The ball hit Irons on the back from Brannan's pass. Now McGrath. Well, both sides beginning to look very, very weary indeed now. O'Brien. Challenged by Daly and Atkinson. I think O'Brien has arguably, Kevin, been Tranmere's best player today.
Yeah, he's played very well, Liam. I mean, for him, I would love to see them go to Wembley because, as I say, he did so much for me and for the Newcastle fans as a Newcastle player. And he's shown a lot of composure. You know, he doesn't get ruffled easily, and he's looked a quality player in there. The others have looked like they've worked hard and they want it, but he's been the quality for them.
Now then, Teal coming forward. It's forbidden territory normally for him, this. But he's done well. Saunders. It's a good cross. Atkinson threw himself at it, so did Brannan, and he got there first. Irons now for Tranmere Rovers. A great break outside him by Malkin, and he tries to play him in. Ehiog holding him off, and he did well. Good defending by the Villa substitute.
Yeah, he's already an under-21 international, and his strength got him through there, plus his pace.
Well, he couldn't do anything to keep the ball in, though, that time. And we have now just 2 minutes, plus stoppages, to try and sort this out without the need for penalties. Townsend has got a little bit more hard work to do. Here's Aldridge. No foul. Richardson comes out with the ball. Atkinson couldn't control it.
There's no doubt about it, Alan, the quality of the play in this extra time hasn't been anything like what we got in the 90 minutes, but as you say, it's understandable. The players get a little bit tired and, you know, frustration creeps in, and then they want to hold on to what they've got. And more and more, as we said, as we watched it unfold, it looked like penalties, and I think that's the way it's going to be.
Still time, though, for a winner from normal play. A minute, and I would say because of that lengthy stoppage for the injury to Townsend, maybe a couple of minutes as well. Kevin Keegan, your man of the match?
Dean Saunders, just edging out Liam O'Brien. I think Dean Saunders really is back to something like his best day. He's run every yard of this pitch, he's worked hard, and he's been very creative. And it's been a game dominated by teams really than individuals, but I think he just edges it for me.
Well, Thomas has conceded a free kick, a horrible moment of feeling deja vu perhaps for Tranmere, who conceded a free kick late on in the first leg, from which Villa got a goal. A goal now, and obviously Tranmere's dream of Wembley would be over. So they've got to concentrate hard again now. Can this be the moment where a Wembley place is clinched? Richardson with the kick. Headed away, though, by Higgins. Malkin has lifted it forward to Aldridge, who's done well. Irons. Morrissey is out on the right. We're now into stoppage time at the end of extra time. Morrissey bolts over the challenge, and the referee was happy it was no foul. That's a goal kick, and that might mean now that the penalty shootout will be needed. But who knows how much time Mr. Gunn will decide to add. Here's Atkinson. Thomas belts it forward one last time perhaps for Tranmere. Teal. Over Nolan's head to Saunders. Now Townsend. He did really well there, Townsend. Ehiog. Into the box again to Saunders. They need to get it in the middle now, though, if they're going to try and force it. The referee's had a little look at his watch again. Given away by Richardson. Long ball for Irons to chase, but he'll never reach that. It wasn't a very good ball.
Yeah, the quality of Tranmere's long balls out of defence, from really the start of the second half right through this period of extra time, has not been good enough to cause Aston Villa problems. And it's made John Aldridge get very frustrated up front, because it is hard work up there, and you're chasing absolutely no hope balls. It does destroy you eventually.
This could be Tranmere's last attack. Morrissey. Nolan on the overlap. He could do with a corner here, or maybe even better. Morrissey. Good looking cross. Headed away though by McGrath to O'Brien. Oh, Aldridge almost got on the inside of Ehiog then, but almost wasn't enough. Now Atkinson, we've had 2 minutes and more of stoppage time. Daly and Atkinson on one of those great runs. What a run by Daly and Atkinson! Atkinson again! That would have been one of the goals of all time.
I remember him scoring a goal, something like that, I think against Crystal Palace, was it, or someone. He's so much strength here. And he's going against tired players, of course, but he's getting tired. And actually, I thought it was going to be a penalty here, because that would look like a lunge, but he stayed up, to be fair to him, and the keeper did well.
He even had the temerity to play a 1-2 off the Tranmere defender, Higgins. That would have been a goal they would have talked about for another 50 years if he'd have clinched a Wembley place with that run. My word. And still the referee hasn't blown that final whistle. And still, there is a hope for either side to do away with the necessity for penalties. But I think now the referee has had the final look at the watch and the signal to the linesman.
neither keeper in this extra time has had a save to make apart from that one from Nixon. It's been I think, on one other. I mean, it's been a poor extra time when you compare it with the rest of the match, but nevertheless fascinating.
And extra time comes to an end. And this quite amazing, really, Coca-Cola Cup semi-final will have another chapter to be added. A match which started with Tranmere defending a 2-goal lead from the first leg, a lead that was wiped out quickly by Aston Villa. Tranmere got a lifeline back with an Aldridge penalty, and for all Villa's efforts, it looked as though Tranmere were going to hang on. But with a minute and a half of normal time to go, Daly and Atkinson forced the match into extra time, which was largely a non-event, frankly, apart from one dramatic run right at the end by Daly and Atkinson. But now we'll have penalties. Eric Nixon might have got a knock as well when he came out to prevent Daly and Atkinson rounding off that run with a shot on goal. And that would be worrying, because he's got a very important part to play now. Kevin, it's an age-old debate since penalty kicks came into being to decide the big matches. What's your opinion?
Well, I've always been of the opinion that it's not really the right way to decide a match, especially a match of such importance as a semi-final of a Coca-Cola Cup. And, you know, I won't change that. But having said that, if you go on to replay after replay after replay, you get into fixture pile-ups, you know, it's not really the answer either. There is no perfect answer to it, but it certainly adds a little bit of, if you like, flavour at the end of this cup tie. I mean, what worries me is that it's not that somebody's going to be a hero, it's that somebody's going to be a villain. Someone's going to knock a penalty wide. Someone's going to, you know, cost them a chance to go up to Wembley. And it really is almost a lottery when it comes to penalties.
And I think you've been involved, obviously, as a player and a manager in these shootouts, haven't you?
I don't know if I have, you know, I was trying to think. I don't know if I have, because it's that long ago since I played. We used to go and have replays in those days. But I certainly don't think it's the right way to decide a match. But until someone comes up with a better solution, I mean, the ideas I've heard have not really been suitable. You know, play on until one side scores a goal. I mean, we could be sat here at 9 o'clock tonight if that last period of extra time was anything to go by, because neither side looked like scoring. You could see the players were tired, and when they get tired, that's when they get injured. And, you know, I don't think that's to the benefit of the game. So someone's got to come up with a better solution. You know, people have said corners. Other people said yellow cards. Well, there hasn't been any today, so that wouldn't have helped. On corners, Villa would have won. But then the second leg was at home, and that's such a big advantage. So
I'll tell you one important thing I think that's been overlooked as well about these penalties. And it's strange this, because I checked with the referee beforehand that if we went to penalties, which end would they be taken? I think they should toss for choice of end, or maybe have 5 penalties one end and 5 penalties the other. Because if you're a Tranmere player and you've got to take penalties in front of the Holt end, then, you know, that adds an awful lot of pressure. They will decide which end, and then the players have just got to get on with it.
Well, the rule is, I think, that the referee goes, if one end's much better than the other, in other words, the penalty spot and everything's, you know, muddy at one end and quite clear at the other, then you take that end. But I am under the impression that they do flick up. It's a toss of a coin.
No, they don't. They toss to decide who takes the first penalty, not to decide which end it is.
The referee decides which end it is.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Well, whichever he decides here, he's going to upset somebody, because there's, what, I don't know, 14, 16,000 behind that goal, who are all claret and blue. And there's a massive following for Tranmere. I mean, when they talk about 2 clubs on Merseyside, there's 3 clubs on Merseyside now. There's no doubt about it. And they fetched a terrific support here today. And, you know, good humour support, because I had to walk by them to come up here, and, you know, the Scousers, and they enjoy the banter and they enjoy a bit of fun. But I think, you know, if any justice had been done, it probably should be at the Tranmere end, to give them a slight advantage, because you felt today that everything's sort of gone against Tranmere. I think they are going that way, actually.
Let's have a quick word now from, yes they are, from Alex Ferguson, who's, I know his Manchester United team have been involved in these shootouts. Not that successfully, Alex, either.
Absolutely hopeless.
So you're not a fan of them, eh?
Well, as Kevin says, you know, replays could go on and on, so I think it's the only way, you know. Yeah. And I just feel now that Aston Villa have lost their opportunity, possibly, that Tranmere may just get through now.
Thanks, Alex. Psychologically, anyway, Tranmere will be taking the penalties into the end in which their fans are gathered. And Dean Saunders will take the first kick for Aston Villa against Eric Nixon.
Having just picked him as man of the match, I hope he doesn't miss this one.
So, penalty number 1 in the first of 5 for each side will be taken by Dean Saunders for Aston Villa. No problem. The relief you can see, you can reach out and feel. Getting away to a good start like that is absolutely crucial.
You get the feeling, Alan, that Bosnich, who is very, very athletic, we've already said that, you know, if he goes the right way, he'll get it if it's in the top corner or the bottom corner. He's just got to try and guess the right way, take a chance.
Kenny Irons takes the first Tranmere penalty against Bosnich. And same corner, same outcome, same score, 1-1.
Terrific penalty this, absolutely no chance. Actually took a little bit of paint off the post almost, it was that good.
Right, the man dubbed John Wayne by his manager gets off the horse, ties it up to the post, pulls out the gun, gets his finger on the trigger and fires the bullet right down the middle.
He'd have been on the first train out of town if he'd have missed that, John Wayne or not, you know. Terrific penalty. You always feel that he's going to blast it. Good left foot, hit it straight in the middle of the goal, and you know, that's a popular place now to place penalties.
So all 3 penalties have been successfully converted. Now it's the turn of the substitute, Tony Thomas, to try and keep that record going and bring Tranmere level at 2-2. It's taken a long run up, and it was a successful run.
Very good penalty from a young man who's not played in the whole game, but tremendous confidence there.
Now here's an interesting moment coming up, Kevin, because somewhat surprisingly, the inexperienced and young Graham Fenton has got the next penalty now for Villa. I think managers will say it's all about who wants to take them, who's got the bottle, and here's a young lad who has got the bottle. And he's got the accuracy as well.
He's a Geordie. He took his time, he picked his spot, and may have looked like a gamble, but he strolled up there very confidently. This is a good penalty.
3-2 on penalties to Villa, but Tranmere's third still to be taken. No one has missed. Almost symptomatic of the way this two-legged tie has gone. Jed Brannan is the next man in the firing line for Tranmere Rovers. He saved it, Bosnich!
This is where it becomes a game within a game. The 2 penalties that they've taken so far have both been in to Bosnich's left, and he must have been thinking, I bet he thinks he's going to put it there, I'll put it in the other one, and he's gone again. And as we said before, he is very athletic, and it was just at the right height where keepers like it. He didn't have to go down for it, he didn't have to go up, he just had to go across.
I remember right at the start of the season, unfortunate there for Brannan, but right at the start of this campaign, Bosnich saved the penalty coming on as a substitute in the opening round against Birmingham from John Frayne. I wonder if another penalty save is going to be crucial. Atkinson with the next one for Villa. He scored. It's 4-2, and a little bit of daylight appears for Aston Villa. Critical now for Tranmere Rovers. One of their longest serving players, Dave Higgins, has got the responsibility of scoring from the spot now.
Well, whoever's the next player for Aston Villa, they'll be hoping that obviously he misses this and he doesn't have to take it. But Higgins has had a good match, played very well.
Higgins it is with a critical kick, and he scored right into the roof of the net. Thank you very much, no problem. Wow, for relief. 4-3.
I think the person who's going to take the last penalty for Villa is the one I hope wouldn't, because I can't say his name, but you're very good at it.
Ugo Ehiogu is this young man, a Londoner, who came to Villa via West Bromwich Albion. Talented, mature for his age, and he's going to need that maturity and calmness now, because this penalty, let's face it, this could be the one that sends Villa to Wembley, quite possibly. He's hit the bar! Tranmere are still alive!
Well, now you feel sorry for him, you know. You felt sorry for the Tranmere lad. But it goes on, this game. I mean, every time you think you're going to get a result, something's going to happen that you predict, it takes another turn. And now it's, if anything, it has swung Tranmere's way.
And it's interesting that Tranmere's #1 penalty taker, the man who scored the penalty, of course, during the normal 90 minutes, as Ehiogu is consoled by his teammates, Aldridge, the man who normally takes the penalties, has been saved up for the last, and as it turns out, most crucial. If he scores here, it's 4-4, and they're still alive, and he has scored. Now it's sudden death.
I bet Johnny King would like a drink now if he can find Gary Newbon, and certainly Ron too. But what can you say? I mean, you watch the players in the middle, you can't see it on the TV screens, but you watch them in the middle there, and they're all consoling each other, whether they're in a claret and blue shirt or a blue and white shirt. You know, no one likes to see someone miss a penalty, but someone's going to have to miss one, or we're going to be here all night.
And of course, you can't use the players who've already taken penalties as well. That's a rule. It has to go right through the rest of the team now, including, if necessary, the goalkeepers.
Yeah, and you start to think of Villa and Townsend, who's not 100% fit, and I think it's his left foot, I'm not sure, his left leg that he got injured. He's limping around the middle. He'll be hoping Richardson scores and that Tranmere miss one.
Certainly will. Richardson for Villa. And he has missed it. The Tranmere players are celebrating, but they better just mute those celebrations briefly. They've still got to score themselves, of course. But Richardson's miss has now given Tranmere Rovers the moment that they have dreamed of. And Liam O'Brien is the man who will be coming forward, and if he scores from the penalty spot, Tranmere Rovers will be at Wembley. And the club that's never played at the top level of English football in its 73-year history are one kick away from Wembley. What drama!
He'll be the coolest man on the park, this chap taking this one. It's incredible, it's just swinging to and fro here, and you know, you say you shouldn't have penalty kicks, but let's be honest, it's exciting if nothing else. It might not be the ideal way to decide these games. I mean, Ron Atkinson's having a word with the referee now. I think he wants to take one.
You see him in training, you'd know why as well, but he's got to contain his anxiety and his tension and all the other things a little bit longer. Yes, Ron. Quite. Daly is going to take it. And the sudden death continues. It gets to the fans, it gets to the players, it gets to the commentary box as well, I can tell you. Remember, now it's not a case of a certain number each. It's just, you score, the next one miss, you're through, they're out. Daly has scored.
Penalty we've seen for a while in this penalty shootout. He's cool as a cucumber and he's just slotted it in. And now the pendulum swings the other way. Tranmere will feel, oh, you know, we had our chance and it's gone, and we're not going to Wembley, but they've still got a chance. They've hung in all the time here today, and they've got to knock this penalty in now.
And I would not want to be the man who has the job of taking this penalty here. I would not want to be in his shoes. Ian Nolan has got to score this. Got to score it, or Tranmere are out. Bosnich, the hero. Aston Villa go to Wembley. Tranmere's dream ends tragically in defeat.
incredible, and you're going to get people saying maybe he shouldn't be on the pitch, but let's forget that. He made some great saves in that penalty shootout. I feel very sorry for Tranmere and Johnny King, but whoever gets through from this, they've earned the right to be at Wembley, and well done, Aston.
An amazing finish, but as Kevin Keegan has quite rightly pointed out, when all the hullabaloo has died down and the post-mortems are carried out, some people, and I'm certain a lot of them from Merseyside, will say, should Bosnich have even been in a position to save those penalties? Anyway, he did, he was, and this save sent his club to Wembley on the Coca-Cola Cup final, where they will play Sheffield Wednesday or Manchester United. Poor Ian Nolan, but a delighted, or really the word is relieved, Ron Atkinson can celebrate now. He becomes only the second manager ever to take 3 different clubs now to Wembley in this competition, where he will face one of his old sides, come what may. Let's all take a breather, and let's all take a break.
Welcome back. I don't know if that break was long enough to get your breath back after a really dramatic match, and what's been going on behind me is well worth remembering. And let's join now the winners, Ron Atkinson and his keeper Mark Bosnich, talking to Gary Newbon.
Ron, have you ever seen anything like that?
That was drama. I mean, the whole game was dramatic. Great start, was terrific. 2 up in the 25 or something like that. And the penalty against. Kept going.
That is Daly and Atkinson. Mark Bosnich. No, it's not. Yes, it is Daly and Atkinson. It couldn't be else. Actually, what a way to treat a goalkeeper. Has just saved 3 penalties.
He could have saved the one in the first place. We wouldn't have been having to go.
He's a hard man.
Yeah, that's right. I'll give away the one in the first place, so I had to make up for it.
I mean, what's it like being a goalkeeper at the end of all those in a penalty shootout? Everyone talks about the people who score them, but what about the guy who has to save them?
It's not the best of situations. It's commiserations to Tranmere and Eric Nixon. They played so well, and just got to feel for them at this moment in time.
But still great saves. Ron.
Yeah, he did all right. We actually sent a little message round for him because we weren't too happy with the first 2. He died, didn't he? And I say, goalkeepers in that situation, stand still and they'll hit 2 down your throat. I can't believe he didn't catch all 3 of them.
But there was so much resting for this club on getting to Wembley. I mean, it's an incredible way of getting there. But
well, it's a long time since we've been there. As I said, we've got ourselves into a hole at Tranmere, and then we've dug ourselves out of it. All credit to the team today. I said they would have to play out of their skins, and they've done exactly that.
Okay, and your chairman will be very happy?
He'll be happy. He's even offered to buy somebody a drink, but I think it's a rumour.
Okay. Can I say a quick hello to Steve, Lydia and all the Salford boys?
You deserve that for saving 3 penalties.
Can I say hello to him as well, Gary?
Ron Atkinson looked more tired there than his goalkeeper. It's been an incredible day, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. How can you predict a game of football? I thought that Villa's tempo had dropped in extra time. I thought that Tranmere had been given a great opportunity to get to the when the 1 kick away. But at the end of the day, Villa have done more to get there, I feel.
What would you say was the difference, Trevor?
Well, the hero of the day was Mark Bosnich, and I think he's got to thank the referee for allowing him to stay on the field in the first half. Because obviously, if he'd been sent off then, he wouldn't have been the hero at the end. He made 3 fantastic saves. Tranmere missed 2 penalties. They missed the penalties, and Nixon didn't have a save to make. He was the difference, Mark Bosnich.
OK, Trevor, thank you very much. Well, that's it for now, but there's plenty more football coming your way on ITV over the next week. On Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday versus Manchester United, exclusively live on ITV, the Coca-Cola Cup semi-final 2nd leg. Before that, the European Cup Winners' Cup, Torino versus Arsenal. That's live at 5:25. From us all here, it's a very good afternoon.